This episode of the Dirt Talk podcast is with David Giannetto, who's the CEO of Felix Construction, a 500-person water and wastewater contractor based in Phoenix, Arizona. He converted Felix to an ESOP in February of 2025, cut turnover in half within the first year, and has watched profitability follow. David, we've got to know each other because we have a shared passion of reef aquariums, but we also have a shared passion of water and wastewater. So when he reached out to spread the gospel about the importance of water, wastewater to the industry and especially to the next generation, I said, come on to Nashville and let's chat. So I had a great time with David. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Here it is. So one of our values is transparency wins, which I talk about all the time. Yep. Because I'm such a big believer. It's crazy how businesses don't use transparency as a tool. But once you start using it, you start to actually build it's a dumb term, but you build a culture of safety. People are psychologically safe. And so this month we gathered questions and I was like, hey, if you want it to be anonymous, by all means, yeah. We don't need to know who it is. No one made it anonymous.
Yeah.
Which is like, to me.
And they were financial questions specifically?
It could be anything whatsoever. Anything under the sun. And I told everybody, I'll answer every question. I will not delete a question, or unless they're ridiculous. Yeah. Like some were just
so the ones we get in at 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday, sometimes I'm like, yeah, we're not.
Yeah. But by ridiculous, I mean like, like someone asked, like, what, whose hair would you like? Like, it's like, no. That's not what we're doing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, not editing the questions and just answering them. So some were financial, some were just very basic business questions, some were software questions. But it was cool to see, and we're a much smaller company, but it was cool to see that. And I'm fine with anonymous questions, but when it's not anonymous, it's so much more helpful because then you can have a conversation. You can be like, hey, so what do you mean by this? Yeah. So you're not making more money and you know who it is. Then you can talk to them about it because you're not a shitty business owner. Like, you want your people to make more money. I think that's every good business owner. I want our people to make more money.
Sure.
I want the company to make more money so that we can pay our people more money. Like, I just saw on LinkedIn the other day, the latest study said you need to make almost $110,000 a year to afford a house.
Yeah. Which is
$110,000.
Remember when six figures was a term that meant like you've made it?
It still is, but in business, people are still throwing around, our people can make six figures. Yeah, okay, cool. So they can potentially afford a house.
Yeah, 100%.
That's wild.
One of the things around the transparency, and this is another advantage, and we're not there yet, because financial transparency, I think you and I don't know if we talked about the great game of business. I aspire to do that, but it's an undertaking because in terms of, are you familiar with that, the book Great Game
Vaguely.
of Business?
I haven't read it, but
so it's a great book, and it's specifically very applicable to ESOPs because it becomes very important that all your people have some level of financial literacy. Yeah. But where it becomes challenging, and I'll just use us as an example. Steve, who you've met or talked to, that runs our L&D, has a doctorate, and I have a guy in Texas that has a second grade education from Mexico. Mm-hmm. And to some degree, I've got to be able to explain financially how we're doing to that span of individuals in terms of even what the word revenue means, people's perception of. I remember having a conversation one time where I told somebody like, we think we're gonna do. Like 100, and this is a while ago, we're going to do $120 million in volume this year. He thought that meant how much money I make. Mm-hmm. We're going to do $120 million in revenue. And this guy thinks, so just the vocabulary words. Yeah. You're rich, $120 million. Yeah. But you realize if you could find a way to explain to every person just the basic concepts of, here's how much we sell the work for. This is how much we got to pay you. Our payroll's $1 million a week. Uh-huh. This is how much keeps the lights on, and then here's how much is left over, but it's difficult to do.
But that's a skill a lot of executives lack and leaders lack, is simple communication.
Yes,
simple communication is hard.
Yeah,
it's a skill in itself.
Yep.
Like one of my favorite. It's attributed to Lincoln, but it's been written a bunch. It's like, if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter. Like, because it's true. It takes more time to be simple and to be thoughtful, and to explain something. An ESOP is very complicated.
Yeah.
It's a huge undertaking.
It is.
But you have to explain it to an 18-year-old pipe layer.
Yeah.
Not that they're dumb, but they're uneducated when it comes to basic finance, because most, if not all 18-year-olds, all people in America are almost uneducated when it comes to basic finance, unfortunately.
Well, and this is even prior to the ESOP. I think I've told you this before, but I go to the gym very early in the morning, and I've got this, I chew ice. It's my bad habit. So on the way to the gym,
your dentist must hate you.
So there's this cobblestone. It's not a cobblestone. I don't know what it is. It's one of these convenience stores. It's not like QT or whatever, but I go in there because I like their ice. They have like Sonic ice.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I fill it up, and it's very early in the morning. It's like 4:15 in the morning. So it's all contractors. Yeah. And when fuel gets really high, we try to take, not people that are in company vehicles, but there's been a couple of times when fuel's gotten really high that we've given out like sort of a bonus, for lack of a better term, to guys, because being in infrastructure, if we have guys that live in Buckeye and they're doing work in Santan Valley, you know what I mean? Like that's a hell of a fuel bill. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, you walk in and you get the sensation that these guys go to work on Monday to fill up their gas tank. Mm-hmm. And then when you're standing in there in line, they got Rockstar energy drinks and, the gas station diet. Yeah. And you realize that, okay, that's Tuesday's wages in your arms right there. Mm-hmm. If you multiply it times a couple of days. So you're spending Monday's wage to get there, Monday through Friday. You're spending Tuesday's wage on your shitty energy drinks that are killing you. It's the modern version of this, but a hell of a lot more expensive. I mean, I just went and got this next door at $6.88, right? Sure. So just the basic economics of you're never going to get ahead, but nobody ever taught them. Yeah. Nobody ever taught them, Nobody ever taught me even. I went to ASU and I got the credit card with the Sun Devil Stadium on it and racked all this shit up. Like, we don't teach what a credit score is in this country, much less.
Well, but even a credit score, it's a racket. It's like a made up game. It's so funny because it's like,
it's made up, but you better learn it.
but you better learn it. Yeah. If you want to exist within society and have a mortgage and afford a car, because you're probably gonna have to take out an auto loan. But it's all by design. Mm-hmm. The system, they make more money if less people understand how to use it. So let's just take advantage of everybody. But and this is where, like, we can feel helpless. I can feel helpless. Like, shit, dude, it's just getting more and more expensive to live for me, but then our people too. And we're a small business and I'm trying to pay everybody more. Yep. But like the way in which we're growing, I need to grow faster to then pay people more money to just keep up with the cost of living. And it can feel overwhelming sometimes, but then it's like, wait a minute, I don't control the U.S. economy and cost of living, but I do control, in a sense, our business.
Your piece of it.
Yes. And our ability to execute and my ability to execute within that and to lead others. And so we need to figure out a way to be more profitable to get our people more money, because it's not enough. And even a 401k now, it's not really enough anymore.
It's not. That's why, and I'll probably say it 1,000 times on this, but I've never been happier, and we're just in the infancy of it, right? But I've never been happier about any decision that I've been involved with or led a part of than the ESOP. Like,
when did you guys go ESOP? When was that?
February 8th or 7th, something like that, of 25. So, 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So you are
very,
early.
Very, 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 very new. Yeah. But we had a really good year. Half of our initial, we made big chunks of debt payment off on it already. So
really?
It's clipping on really good. We had a really good year.
Holy smokes.
It's an interesting, you talk about the balance, and this is where that whole ESOP community and contractors that have that mindset of taking care of the people. I think I mentioned this before, but when we were considering it, Matt Phillips, who was my partner when we were owners, and he's the co-CEO, we flew all around the country and sat down with executives of other ESOPs and kind of said, like, tell us about this, and sounds really complicated, but boil it down to our language. And we would go out into the field and we'd grab the the crusty old pipe superintendent and be like, hey, how do you feel about it? And they'd be like, I thought it was horse shit. And, now I got, so you'd hear directly from these guys, which is really where the power is, right? You've just got to get those guys talking about it for people to really engage in it. But that comes over time. But last time there's a company out of Utah that's a wastewater contract like us. And they were one of the major ones that sort of pushed us over the edge. And I called them last week because the light bulb kind of went off with me about this whole thing that, okay, you get to the end of the year and you made a bunch of money, right? And you kind of say, okay, well, because we have a really good bonus pool. Like we pay a lot of money out in bonus.
That's
like
great.
Millions and millions of dollars. And but it's part of what people are attracted to us. I can't kid myself if we didn't have that.
Does everybody participate?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And in real simplified terms, we really don't have pay bands, but basically we say, hey, here's how much profit we made for the year. Based upon that profit, this is the bonus pool, like some percentage of it.
Okay. And
then in real rough terms, we say, how much money did you make divided by the total payroll?
Sure.
That's a starting percentage. And then we give it out to the supervisors and they kind of, based upon, how that person's doing and are they contributing more? Are they trying? Or are they just mailing it in? But to your point, every single employee, if you were employed at the company on December 31st, the previous year, you will get something in March. And that's a lot of people work there because of that, because it's a robust program. Mm-hmm. But this sort of light bulb went off with me because we're pushing the value of the ESOP a lot now. And so for conversation purposes, let's just say we made $10 million in profit. Mm-hmm. We can we can distribute $9 million of that profit in the bonus pool in April and make people really happy in a short-term basis. Mm-hmm. And the value of the ESOP isn't going to go up anymore because we're only going to put a million into it. Conversely, we could put $9 million of it into the ESOP and only pay $1 million out in bonus, and we would have people that would quit because the midterm compensation, there's your weekly paycheck, and then there's what you get annually, and then there's a long-term deal. So part of that financial education is getting people, because I think a lot of people, unfortunately, would say, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to pay the rent, so I want all of it now, particularly young people, like 65, like, who knows? But I've got an obligation to say, guys, you need to, like, it can't all be there. It can't. We have to invest it. You have to be investing in your future, and that's all education. It's all education.
It's education, and it's the responsibility of employers too. I think there's a lot of employers that are really entitled. They're like, "Oh, it's our people's problem." It's like, really? It's your people's problem to maybe retire? Like, oh, they got Social Security. Like, I don't believe I'll see a dime in Social Security.
Yeah, don't count
So
on it.
I'm paying into Social Security. I'll never see that money. And then a 401k. You do the math on it. If you don't start with a Roth IRA at 18 years old, good luck making the numbers work.
Yeah.
Like if you start in your 30s, which is probably where most people start,
exactly.
not investing probably as much as they should because now they've got kids and other priorities and this and that. And, oh shit, now I'm 43 and I do understand the value of retirement now, but based on compounding, you're kind of screwed, if you're doing it past 30 at that point. Like,
yeah. Well, to
there's
your
no
point
safeguard there
about
them.
business owners and our responsibility. So every employee that starts at Felix within the first 30 days, the first Tuesday of the month, we do a welcome to Felix speech. Come in, everybody that started with the company is sitting down there. Again, everybody that's been hired in the last, and we've just gotten so big. So sometimes there's like 30 people in there.
And they come into the office?
Yeah, they come in the office. Okay. Yeah. And we talk about the history of the company and we go around and everybody introduces themselves and they say how they learned about us, because that's when we spend a lot of money on marketing to try to get people in LinkedIn and Indeed and all that sort of stuff. But it helps me to look in the whites of somebody's eyes and say like, oh, Frank, who blah, blah, blah. And unsurprisingly, most of the people that stick the best are referrals. And we have a very robust referral bonus program so that there's a financial piece to it. But there's two things in that talk that I say, hey, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with. But there's two things that I'm imploring you to consider. The first one is we do 6% matching. Like if you can find a way to eke out 6% pre-tax, which basically means 3% of spending, maybe a little more than that. I'm using round numbers, but then Otherwise, you're giving away that other 6%. So if you can try to find a way, but man, some of these guys are raising families and trying to make rent. Like you might as well say save 50%. If it's not feasible, it's not feasible. But the young kids, I really try to get early. And then the other one is, and man, I'm pushing hard for us to be able to do it out of it, is short-term disability. That everybody just has it, right? Like it's so cheap. Because I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where somebody's come in and I'm not talking about workers' comp. I'm talking about somebody's got a side gig on the weekend and they hurt themselves and then they can't come into work because their job relies them walking across the site.
Yep. And
then, a lot of times when we were smaller and things like that would happen and we owned the business, it was just easy. You could just be like, just pay them. But that's one of the complications that comes with the ESOPs now. It's not my money. Mm-hmm. It's not my money to make those decisions anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So we're trying to come up with ways to sort of find other ways to do that isn't necessarily the company's money, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, sorry, we got off on a tangent there. I guess the point is, you said there's a lot of business owners out there that are, kind of selfish about it and it's their problem. And one of the things I want to make super clear is while I care about our people and I want to take care of the people that are in our tribe, I think maybe the thing that I see a little different is like, man, there's a return on that investment. Like if you want the best people so you can get the best jobs and makes the best profit, then they have to want to work for you more than somebody else. Mm-hmm. And people can smell bullshit.
Yeah.
People can smell bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing is you can't make somebody authentic.
No.
So
well, and I don't blame them at the same time because I feel like that's in the previous generation. That's kind of how they came up. Like, dude, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Like you better just figure out your own shit.
Yeah.
And honestly, the previous generation too, my dad's generation, baby boomers, mm-hmm. they came up in like the golden era. All they had to do was buy a house.
Yeah.
Which was a fraction of their income versus what it is today, a small fraction, much smaller. And so they just had to buy a house and then they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the 2008, 2009 thing, which was a pickle. You had the .com, which was a pickle. But even with those, you probably were you're probably sitting now just fine with a big house that's appreciated like crazy.
Yeah.
And you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so the previous generations had that mechanism too. That was home ownership.
Yeah.
And again, now like I make low six figures. Mm-hmm. Buying a house right now, I'm single.
Yep.
I don't even have kids to worry about. Out of the question. And people are like, no. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think about that. These college kids that we have that are, and I know what we pay. It's not six figures, but it's bumping up on it. And you just realize like, unless they've got somebody to help them with the down payment, and you're from Phoenix, that used to be the attraction point is like there was a really good job market and housing. You could buy a 3-bedroom house for, $180,000, $200,000. Yeah. You drive up and down the freeways now and everything is, starts in the 400s. And then at a 6% interest rate, forget about it. It's like, doesn't math out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel like, I said this last night when we were at dinner, my wife can be a little, she pays attention to a lot of the political stuff, and I hate to bury my head in the sands, but I'm like, you know what? I got my 500 people, and I'm going to fight like hell to take care of those 500 so that they can, take care of their kids and grandkids, and that's got to be my piece for now. That's got to be how I'm going to make my contribution.
And I'm increasingly starting to really understand that's the way to contribute most. But also, like I said at dinner, if we have 1,000 of you doing that in the civil construction industry, we end up dramatically better off in just a few years. And I think that's already happening. I think like you haven't been to Dirt World yet, right?
Yeah.
This will be your first year?
No, I went last year.
You went last year.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
it's in Phoenix this year, so we're
yes,
sending a big
it's in that's what it is. Yeah, you guys are sending a bigger group this year. But it's that's the group. I think a lot of the contractors in that room are the ones 100% prioritizing people. And they're now starting to pull away. They're now starting to make a lot of money.
I'll tell you where I feel like there's actually even greater power in, and maybe this is ambitious thinking, but some of ambitious thinking comes with what gets you, in certain positions anyway, is that
sense.
you and I talked about another company that we know in common when we were out in the kitchen earlier that employs an awful lot of people that I've had very specific conversations about, why wouldn't you do ESOP? And then I talked about one of the companies in my peer group that's the biggest and the most successful back east that they decided to do it. I actually feel like because it can be so confusing and people are intimidated by it, even business owners. There's a lot of people that run business that I'm not a finance guy, man. I can barely read a P&L and it bores me to death, right? So I'm always like, I don't know. Like, what is it? Like, do we have enough money to keep on going?
Yeah.
But I feel like if you really understand it, you understand the value of it. Maybe one of the places that as I get older and realize how I can really move the industry is to take those guys that are ignoring it and go, like, what are you doing? Why don't you do this? I did it, right? Because it's one thing to talk about something hypothetically. It's another thing if somebody looks at you and goes, oh, wait, well, you did this with your business for real? Like, you believe in that enough for you to do it with your business? And then they listen a little bit more. And then if you can take the stuff, all the gobbledygook language that it is intense, but at the end of the day, it's not all that. If you really boil it down, you're just taking the profits and you're dividing amongst the people in a qualified retirement program and you're not paying the taxes on it anymore. Like, that's the punchline. So I hope to do more of that. I hope to do more of that to influence other construction companies that, look, you can do just as well, if not better, and then also put your head on your pillow at night and know that you took care of your people.
Yeah, and that I think that is the real power. I think it's everybody taking care of themselves first and foremost. Like in my latest talk, it's love your neighbors as thyself. You can't love your neighbors though if you don't love yourself first.
Yeah.
So start with you. Start with you as an individual first. Then start with your immediate world.
Yeah.
And then you can go out and start to influence and love others.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can skip those steps.
Yeah.
I think it starts with you, then it starts with the immediate people around you, then it starts to get a little bit bigger. And I think that's what's cool too about the group we're building in the dirt world is like increasingly the value is not really the stage. The increasingly the value is
putting
everybody in the same room, bouncing off one another. You've got 1,500 people bouncing off one another for a few days.
Yeah.
The exchange of information and value within just those few days, and then now that goes out into the world, and maybe you're the ESOP guy, but there's other people in there that could be kicking ass when it comes to brand, when it comes to recruiting strategies, when it comes to clever ways of working, like even bringing in some of the European type influence in how efficient they are, and then you go out and then you go bounce that amongst your hundreds of people to make them even better, and just around and around it goes. It's so exciting.
I told you last night that the hands down the most powerful thing that we ever did in the company, and our bonding company spent years saying like, hey, why don't you guys join a peer group? And it's like, we don't need that. I don't want to go sit around a bunch of hard bid guys that teach me how to jam change orders off in the owner's butt. Like, and just ego, like, we're different. We're a special flower, and then I finally begrudgingly went to one and sat in the room, and I was like, oh, I get it. Like, these guys, they're smart. They've got the same problems. They're solving the same issues. They care about their people. And it's completely transformed the company. Like, just being in a room with other like-minded people, right? There's people in construction that I don't necessarily want to, that are sort of the old school mentality. I want a big house and a big boat and fuck the guy in the ditch type thing. Yeah. But that's not the majority of it. I don't believe.
It's not. It's not. No, not actually.
I don't think anymore. I think maybe because you can't survive. Nobody's going to work for them. These guys, the market's shifting to where, you and I had the conversation about that water line break in California the other day. The guy that's putting that back together so a couple million people can get their water is the guy in the ditch. There's a power shift coming with that, hopefully. And if you treat your people like shit, I mean, when Don first started, Don Felix, like he gave everybody PTO. He gave field guys PTO, and he gave them insurance, which was unheard of in the 80s, right? Well, you can't, at least in our market. Like, if some guy walks in and goes, yeah, we don't have health insurance, they're like, I'm sorry. And they leave, and the market will pay for it, right? If you're a good contractor doing work for the major municipalities and stuff, I can tell you firsthand that your labor rates and your burden, they will pay for it.
Yes.
Somebody can tell me they can't. I negotiate it all the time.
Well, and then you can better control your overall labor burden with more efficient and effective people.
Yeah. So back to that original point of like, it's not just because we're good guys. There's value in, if you want to do the best work and get the best jobs, work along the best engineers on the best projects that are the best resume builders, then you have to have the best people. And why would they come to work for you if somebody else is offering something better? If we lose somebody because they go someplace else, that's my job. I failed. I built a company that wasn't as attractive as somebody else. Mm-hmm. And you can look at it and go like, nobody has any loyalty and blah, blah, blah. Well, we've all got the same problem to solve, and somebody's doing it better than you.
Now, in the position I'm in, it's like, wait a minute. Not everybody has this problem. Are they just lucky, or are they doing things differently? And everybody, I think, is facing the same headwinds, but there are companies now that are starting to pull away. Just every year, more and more clearly. They're pulling away.
Tell me what you mean by that, pulling away from?
The workforce challenge, shortage.
Yeah.
And I don't really know if there is a workforce shortage. I just think we haven't been selling a good enough product. And there's workers in the United States of America.
Yeah.
We just haven't done a great job. We've actually done a pretty good job of drawing them in. There's a lot of people that come into construction every year, but the turnover is horrendous.
Yeah.
And especially under 25, the turnover is over 80%.
Yeah.
And so we can sit here and be like, well, it's just because the next generation sucks. Okay, maybe they do, but what is that? So the whole next generation sucks. That's a very productive generalization.
Yeah.
And then now what? What's the backup plan?
Yeah.
Robots?
It's hiring, man. We're in 26, 25, 24. 24, we were pretty close to the industry standard. We were 34% turnover, right?
Yeah.
And that's the bulk of that's in the field, and the bulk of it's entry level. Probably 50% of it is in the 0 to 6 month mark. But in 25, we dropped that to 17%, half.
Well, that's why we started to make so much money.
What's that?
That's why.
Well, it's expensive.
That's a huge cost.
Expensive. But here's what it is just, man, people are going to groan at this. It's cultural interviewing. Yeah. Do they align with the way that we want to do things, right? And people will tell you like, wow, you can't have a cultural interview around a field guy. Are you sure?
Yeah. See, but that's small-minded thinking too, and then it's dehumanizing in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so a laborer is not as in tune with humanity as a estimator. Huh.
Now okay. I can tell you that based upon the environment that they're in, it's like the labor market in Dallas is so much tougher than it is in Phoenix because they've had this shit kicked out of them for so long. If you're like, no, we really care about you're like, but we've got guys now, we've been there for 12 years and we've got guys that have been there for 12 years. But you got to earn it, man. You can't come into town and go, oh no, we're really different. Cause you know who is different? The one before them and the one before them and the one before them and the one before them. Yeah. So it takes some tenacity. Words are cheap. You got to show it.
Well, it takes time. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that you cannot speed up in business. And especially as a young business leader, I've had to accept that over and over and over again. It's like, some things just take time. And with people, it just takes time.
Because the factor that takes time is trust. And you cannot expedite trust.
No.
As a matter of fact, the more you be like, trust me, the more people are like,
exactly. And trust, all trust is consistent action over time. And so time is part of the equation. You can't create trust without
it
time.
It is the variable.
Yes. And it's easier said than done because you have to be extremely consistent. Yeah. And I think before you can interview from a cultural standpoint, you have to understand what the culture is. Mm-hmm. And you have to define what the culture is and why it's that way. And then you have to tend to that garden every day. Yeah. And I mean, in some ways, I've taken my eye off the ball, and some our garden's not as pruned and beautiful as I would like it to be. This year, I'm trying to lean back into that, but you've got to keep your foot down. Yeah. If you lift off just a little bit, and sometimes in business you have to, because like the ESOP transaction, for example, something like that is so consuming.
Yep.
That's probably everything you were thinking about for 6 months at least. It's just a monster.
Probably a year.
Yeah, probably a year.
Yeah.
It's and there's stuff like that happens, and then you've got to put so much energy into one thing that you lift your foot off. But then as soon as you take your foot off from a cultural standpoint, and it's not just you, but it starts with leadership.
Yeah, well, you set the weather, right? You show people what's important.
If you take your foot off just a little bit, it starts to get weird. You've got to mash it down all the time, or else it just does not work.
One of the things that I think is a contributing factor to it is that you're familiar with the NPS scores, Net Promoter Scores. Okay, so we're big. We do that. We do for our employees twice a year, every 6 months. And even that, I'll listen to people talk about it, and they go, "Oh yeah, we do that." And I go, well, "What's your percentage of participation?" They're like, "Oh, 50." I'm like, "Okay, well, you're not." It's garbage numbers, right?
Yeah,
the 50% that you're not getting are the ones that have something to say. So I push for 90%. And the last day of the last one, I'm making phone calls. Like, okay, now you can't, when you get into the system, you can't tell who hasn't, but you can tell what departments by participation percentage. So I'll call like 4 supervisors down and go, somebody on one of your crews is not. Stop, go get them until we get to 90%. And then it's exactly what you might expect it to be. As soon as they go out, the first 2 hours, we get like 37% of participation. It's all the people that want to do it. And then you got to fight for everybody else. You know where all the constructive criticism is? It's not in the first 37%. It's for the guys that are hesitant to do it in the first place. So if you just roll over and go, well, that's all that, then you're not fighting hard enough to actually get the story.
It's 90% of the company.
90% of the company.
Yeah,
that's the threat. Now, last time we did it, we had 87, 86 or 87, which is, it's hard to get, but what do you prioritize? Like, it's a big deal for me. I want to know what those numbers are. Yeah. The thing that, and why I brought that up is because in business, like, a monkey can calculate profit. Like, here's how much money came in, here's how much we spent, this is what's left over, right? It's not hard to do that at all. So if that becomes your only scorecard, and it's certainly an important one, because if there's no money in the bank, you can't afford to pay people. I don't want to make it sound like profit's not important. But at some point when the machine is clicking along and you've got a good niche and your reputation's good and the machine is working, then you can take your eye off that ball a little bit, or maybe have more people look at it. And then if you're the primary leader, I think that's the thing that you have to focus on, but it's hard to measure.
Yeah, and cash is the oxygen for business, so I understand why it gets so much of the attention. I think in construction, though, revenue is really how well you're doing. Oh, well, overall, you go look at the ENR 400, it's not the most profitable contractors in America. It's those that have the biggest numbers at the top line.
Is that the way it should be, though?
No, I don't think at all.
No, but it's like, do you golf?
But when you talk about it, like in the awards and this and that, it's all revenue. It's all revenue. And when you're talking to people, how are you doing? Oh, we've got X amount of dollars in backlog. We did $200 million last year. Wow, it's. Are you making any money?
Are you making any money? Yeah. Then in golf, they call it drive for show and putt for dough.
Yeah.
Revenue's driving and net profit is putting.
Yeah, but I think NPS, which for people that don't know, it's a very simple system survey. It's basically asking your people if they would recommend the business to others.
Yep. Friends or family, I think is the way they put it.
Yes. And why or why not?
Yep.
It's essentially that simple.
Yeah. Negative 100 to positive 100 is the range. Like 9 and 10 are promoters. 6, 7, and 8 are neutrals, and then down from that are detractors.
Yeah, and I think that's a leading indicator. I think revenue and especially profit, that's a lagging indicator.
Yes.
How well you're doing.
Yeah.
The leading indicator is, are people, are they frustrated? Mm-hmm. I think it's more so finding the frustration. I think it's less about making happy people and more so eliminating frustrated people.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying with those critical things. It's like when people are happy, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And why are they happy? There's value in that. Let's do more of that. Yep. But it's what's pissing you off.
Yeah.
And so as you've done that over the past few years, like what are the trends in what criticism for you guys?
Lack of standard operating procedures, right?
Okay.
No mystery there.
Like what's an example of that? How does that look in the field? Or what would the frustration be?
Just that people learned how to do things through osmosis. And when you were small, that the people had been there for a long time. They sort of understood how we do things. So the ratio of people that had been there for a long time, that knew how we did it and understood the why behind we do things a certain way, outnumbered the number of new people. Now the cutesy phrase is like, we got the inmates running the asylum. So we're 500 people.
Yeah.
60% of those people have been here less than 2 years, and 40% have been there less than one. That's staggering to try to hold on to a culture when the number of people that are like, I'm here because of the culture, but don't really know how to lead that culture because there's more of them than the people that are, is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And nobody really explains it to you. We do talk about this concept of like growth is linear and complexity is exponential. And that sounds like, oh, those are fancy words. But then when you get in it, you really realize like, geez, this is so much more complicated. Like the revenue's double, but it's 4 times as complicated as it was when the revenue was just double.
And all the previous systems break.
Yeah, just start falling apart. Just everything starts falling apart. Yeah, everything starts falling apart. So just standard operating procedures around everything from like time entry, for a guy to make sure that it's hitting the right code, to what our systems are about. I don't know, just everything, absolutely everything. The way we decide on what markups on our job and the estimating system between 2 different offices and 2 different markets, stuff that just it seems like it's just daily, like it just never stops. This stuff is so much more complicated now. But you just got to be tenacious about it. So that's what we hear. And what's really good about the EMPS thing, and where I'm always super happy, is that it says, would you recommend this? Yes or no? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, and then it says why. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I just love and makes me smile is that people almost always write 4 or 5 sentences, right? Sometimes you get a War and Peace novel and it's somebody that's kind of vomiting all over it, and they're clearly the people that are upset. They got a lot to say. But I guess there's 2 ways to look at that. You can be, this person that gave us this diatribe of everything that they're not happy about, I got to try to not cuss. Screw them. Oh, fuck them, right? Yeah. They've got a bad attitude. But you ever heard that phrase that like, hate isn't the opposite of love, indifference is? Mm-hmm. If somebody is on there pouring their heart and soul trying to tell leadership what they need to do better, it's because they care. Yeah. If they didn't care, they'd be like 5. And that'd be it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what you need to be worried about is the people that check 5 and don't write anything. That's what you need to be paying attention to. If you got a whole bunch of people that are screaming at the top of their lungs about everything that's fucked up, they care and they want to make it better. So you can get your ass on your shoulders and go, nobody appreciates me. Or you can say, thank God I've got people that want to make this place better, and I need to listen to them, and I need to go out and find out what those are. And at a minimum, if their vantage point about why something is wrong or isn't changing is because I didn't explain it to them, right?
Yeah, but to get to that point, it requires a certain emotional maturity, because we've done this feedback plenty of times.
Yeah.
It's hard not to at first take it personally.
Oh, I take it personally every time.
Because when you're a leader, you're pouring so much into the business, and don't make it personal. No, it's fucking personal for me. Like
every time somebody quits.
This is a very personal project.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's when someone criticizes it, it's easy to be, well, this is a criticism of me. Mm-hmm. And so I've made it a point when we get feedback, I read it and then I put it away. And I just I emotionally process it, and then I come back to it and read it again. It helps me get through those initial human emotions, because I'm not good enough to just sit there and be like, no, this isn't about me. I make it about me. I then go for a run, sleep on it, and then I come back to it and I'm like, all right, let's dig in here, because this is really good stuff.
We've got an executive coach, and he tells me all the time, like, we'll have 400 comments, right? And I just blaze through the 10s and the 9s, and I'm like,
exactly.
What's down here at the 2s and 3s, right?
The 10s and the 9s,
we know what we're good at.
Give me like the 4s and
give me the 4s and 5s, whatever. And I will obsess about something that's down there. And he'll point out all the time, like, look, man, like there's always going to be an outlier over here. And he'll say, you need to not let it get to you. And I know he's right. I know he's right. I don't know, one of these books, I think it might be one of the people that was at the last Dirt World. I think it's, who's the lady that, she wrote.
Kim Scott?
Yeah. It's in that book, and she
Radical Candor.
Yeah, Radical Candor, and she describes some boss that she had that was in a perpetual state of progressive discontent, and I was like, that's me. Not like I'm always unhappy, but I'm always like, it could be better.
Yeah,
it could be better. It could be better. And I know there's no way that we're ever going to give everybody in the company right a 10. And if they did, it's bullshit.
Yeah,
right?
something's wrong. Yeah.
But if I'm honest, I don't know that I want to change.
But that's what it takes. And that's the world you have to live in at this level, but then you can't put that onto others at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that's the distinction I think you have to make is,
yeah,
I think it's fine to live in that world because I think somebody at the company has to, and maybe other people have to, but you can't put that on everybody.
Yeah, that's correct.
And the way I always frame it is like, I'm the only one here in which build what's the most important thing in my life.
Yeah, true.
No one else would say that.
And you can't expect them to.
And I would never expect them to. And if they said so, I'd be really concerned. I'd be like, what's going on at home, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
this shouldn't be the most important thing to you.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll tell you, for those in you, I'm sure you've had lots of people in here that have a wife and kids. You're single right now. Business is a jealous mistress, man. It's tough.
I know. And it only gets more complicated.
Yeah.
But then I think that's also the cool thing about business. The game, it goes on forever.
Mm-hmm.
There's no finish line.
Nope.
There's no end point.
Nope.
And you can let that grind you down. And I've seen that, and I've been there.
Yeah.
And I've even talked to people recently, and you can see it in their face. They're just like, dude, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
yeah,
that sucks. Because I get it. But there's no end. And okay, cool, you sell your business, and then what?
Yep.
That's not the finish line.
Nope.
And it could be a cliff.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also what's cool about this. It's always changing. It's so dynamic. And as soon as you get all the 10s, there's another fucking Jaguar around the corner ready to pounce on you in some way. Like maybe the economy's great, and then COVID happens, and it's like, couldn't have planned for this.
And there's good and bad in everything. So you get size, you get momentum, you get things that protect you because you've got enough cash to be able to sustain some things that go wrong. Those are all very good things, but in order to have it, things are expensive. It's complex because you've got lots of people. Like for everything that's good, there's a counterpart thing.
Totally.
And to your point, we were having this conversation last night about the whole thing of like, getting people together because it's not what was the word that you described? That it's not.
It's just what competition, hyper competition.
Well, yeah. So I think there's a lot of people in this business that are hyper competitive. Like I'm a competitive person. I like to win. And even in bidding, I don't like hard bidding because I feel like that's just a numbers game, and we do it. Like my partner Matt loves the hard bid game. Like he loves playing that. I'm an alternative delivery guy. Like I want to go in and tell the owner and convince the owner why they need to pick us over somebody else. And I got to tell you, there's not a bigger rush in the world and we're big enough now where I think we can compete. But I can remember going after $15 million jobs against Archer, PCL, and Kiewit, and Sunt and winning. And just being like, dude, that is a dopamine hit like you cannot imagine. If you can walk into a room and convince a bunch of people that they should hire this little company with a fraction of the resources over these Goliaths that have helicopters and all this sort of stuff, like that's a level of competition that I really enjoy, right?
Yeah, I think that's where most of the industry is. We want to win. It's a very competitive group of people. They want to go beat the next guy.
Yeah.
But I think that's also put the industry into the pickle it's in right now. We're all trying to beat the shit out of each other. And it's like, hey, I've got news for everybody. We're all on the same team. We're killing ourselves here.
Yep.
And we're poisoning our own well. And so let's get a little bit bigger picture here.
We at least need to agree that it's in our benefit to make sure all the people that are working with us have the resources and everything. Then it can be a little bit of a game of like, okay, now that everybody's elevated, how do I get the best ones over here? How do I get them to do my projects and not yours? But at least in that game, you're taking care of the people along the way.
When it comes to competition, I've reflected upon this. Like I remember, I I played a season of lacrosse. I'm not all that athletic. I'm not very good at athletics.
You look like you'd be fast.
No, but I'm fast over a long period of time. Like I'm better at it. That's why I'm good at endurance, because I'm not that athletic.
You're a long distance runner?
Right now I'm doing triathlons.
Yeah.
So, but I've done long distance, but I played a season of lacrosse, and I'm 5'6". I'm not a very big guy. I'm not a fast guy. And so I wasn't all that good at lacrosse. But I wasn't good at lacrosse, especially because I just wasn't all that competitive with other people. Like, you kind of have to hate the other kid and you kind of have to go beat the shit out of them with a stick. And I was just like, I don't know. It's like Tim. I don't really care about Tim. I just met the kid. He seems fine. I couldn't really get into it. I'm more so like, I'm competitive internally. Yeah. You have to be careful with it because it can destroy you at the same time. But I'm trying to beat the shit out of myself. Yeah,
like you'd have been good. My son is a competitive swimmer. You'd have been good at swimming, like, because you're out there just trying to beat your time.
Is way more compelling to me. Yeah, and that's why I like the endurance stuff, because it's like the field doesn't matter. It just my time, the fucking clock. That's it, and that's what drives me hard. And that's where if I am beating myself every day, that means I'm doing my best, and that's all I can do. So I'm just going to fixate there. And maybe that's flawed. Maybe I'm not looking up and out as much as I should, but
you're elevating yourself every day by doing it.
And I've learned, like, not everybody, there's like different levels of competition too. Like, and so that's why I'm glad I'm in the position I'm in, is like, hey guys, this competition is real. I'm not going to act like it's not real. We're all still bidding against each other, and we can't go fix the market like everybody else has, unfortunately. Like every other industry has fixed the market. We can't. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think I see what you're saying.
Can of worms there.
Yeah. Okay.
But, so still be competition, but we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Let's think about this bigger picture here. And it's not that other people can't. It's just that we can, because I'm not in the brawl. Yeah. I'm not in the bar fight. I'm standing outside the bar. Like, are we done yet? Like, come on, guys. But if I was in the bar fight, I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I would say
that was a bad tangent.
The industry has gotten more sophisticated. It's gotten better. It would, when Don started the company, his first superintendent, it wasn't uncommon for superintendents to get into actual physical fist fights out on job sites. I mean, that shit doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like, it's like there's an expected level of respect for people. Everybody, back to this whole thing of getting the best people. Most good companies have learning and development programs now where they're bringing people along, where they're dumping money into it. Like, the industry has kind of gone a long way from just this whole sink or swim. Like, you hire, you can get it done.
But I don't think the sophistication has helped a lot.
No,
fatalities have not decreased in 20 years.
Really?
Yep. Productivity is down consistently for 50 years.
What do you associate that with? What do you think that the root cause of that is?
More and more rules.
Overregulated?
Internally regulated.
So talk about that relative to safety.
I think it has a lot to do with safety, actually.
Yeah.
I think we've been
but safety's gotten worse, but production's gone down because of the attempt to make it safer?
Yeah, through more rules. I think if we made it safer through culture, everybody wins. Yeah. And some have done that. There are some rules, of course. Yeah. I'm not saying ignore OSHA. I'm not saying do things unsafe. But I've been to more job sites than most. Yeah. Most of it's complete dog shit. Yeah. And everybody knows it.
Well, I can tell you that
everybody there knows it's a charade.
You can solve it by writing it down more is a charade. Right, yes. Like more reports, more proof,
more paperwork, more rules, more restrictions.
And I can argue both sides of it, like a pre-task plan, right? Okay, well, it's a written sheet of paper, but there are people that unless you sit and say, listen, write down what you're going to do today so you can make sure that what you're going to go do today, that your people understand it and that everybody understands what the risks are with that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think if you don't force most people to do that, there's a little bit of a cowboy mentality of like, oh, we've done this 1,000 times, we're good.
But even the pre-task plan, without culture, I think it's completely ineffective. Because I've seen it 1,000 times play out.
Okay.
You're just filling out the piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually gives a shit.
Yep.
Whereas if you legitimately, there's, and it could be the same piece of paper, but it's a different conversation when there's a legitimate degree of care.
Yeah.
And the safety lessons I've learned the most, when I've paid most attention, is like when a foreman's pulled me aside in my early career and like, listen, dude, if you do it that way again, you can die.
Yeah.
And here's a picture of somebody that died getting run over by that track hoe.
Yeah.
So watch the fuck out.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
And I said, yes, sir. And I will never forget those pictures again.
Yeah.
And I have been so much safer as a result.
Yeah.
That has been the most impactful stuff. I couldn't tell you any safety training I've sat through, really.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you any JSA that like really had an impact. Like, wow, that was really something. Like, it's all these rules to make us feel better and to satisfy the insurance companies and the contracts and the lawyers and the people in the office. But it just makes things.
So how do you govern? So if you're OSHA, for instance, right? Like there has to be something, right?
Most of it's not OSHA rules.
You think most of it's internal calling it?
Most of it is
OSHA as the scapegoat?
And then they use OSHA as the boogeyman 100%. Because OSHA, it's not really updated. And everybody knows the OSHA rules. It's basic stuff. It's good. It's good common sense. It's like, don't get in a trench without a trench box. Have ladder safety. People fall off a lot of ladders. Be tied off. Like, it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Electricity can kill you.
But there's a thing right now. Like, I think about it, and you're from the Valley. Every summer, somebody dies in a trench box or in not in a trench box. And I look at that and think, how is that fucking possible in this day and age?
Yeah.
How, like, a monkey can look at a trench and go like, okay, it's over the guy's head. Like, do you have to have...
I think it's just oftentimes they just don't know any better. I was going into trenches without a trench box when I started, and that's when I got my ass chewed. I got my ass fucking chewed because I watched.
But there's a supervisor on that job site that should know, right? I guess now you
that
as
should
the
know,
as
but monkey see, monkey do. And so I remember, with big pipe, you kind of backfill, and there's a nice slope down to where you're laying the pipe, and it wasn't even all that deep, but you've got a trench box where you're laying the pipe, ladder up and out. Mm-hmm. But every once in a while, the guys would need something down there, and I'd watch one of the top guys just scurry down everybody's done it. You and it's a big wide trench.
Just a second. It'll only take a second.
Just a second. You just walk down, then you're on the top of the pipe, and then you toss it in, you walk back out. No problems, no dramas at all. And so they needed something. I'm trying to be helpful. Mm-hmm. All I can do is try to help these guys because I have nothing else to offer. I scurry down. I look back up. There's the foreman right there. And he's like, he knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
He was like, I know better. These guys know better, and I'll deal with them. You don't know any better.
Yeah.
And so I need to take you over here. And this is what happens if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
You will die.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I got my ass chewed, but in a very caring way.
Yeah.
Like, he came off like, wow, he's not chewing my ass because it makes his life harder or will require him to fill out more paperwork or whatever it is. Yeah. He actually cares about me. Mm-hmm. And that is all the difference. Yeah. A lot of times, it's just so funny. It's like people act like they don't want me to get hurt on their job site because it's going to be an inconvenience to them. Like, that's how it comes off.
Yeah.
And
it's going to fuck your OSHA quarterable and run the insurance rates up.
And they don't say that, but it's like the elephant in the room. It's just sitting right there. And I'm smart. I learned this when I was 5, man. Like, this is basic human dynamics here. Yeah. But when you legitimately care about somebody, or it was actually in Arizona, it was years ago. It's one of the only safety meetings that I've sat through that I can remember.
Okay.
It was like 45 minutes. It was a big crew. It was a hot site in Arizona. Mm-hmm. It was like 45 minutes long. That's unusual for like a Tuesday safety meeting.
Oh, you're saying that was a tailgate, but
toolbox talk.
Yeah,
in the morning.
Yeah.
45 minutes. And it was like a discussion. People were talking.
Yeah. Discussions are always so much better than being preached at.
Everybody was talking.
Yeah.
And then some guy comes over, not even a leader, and is like, hey guys, just so you know, I know you guys heard us talk about this over there, but we've been taking these trees down and there's been a lot of rattlesnakes over here. So I know you guys are going to be walking around with cameras. I just want you to be aware. Don't go too close to that stuff because there could be snakes and we don't want you to get messed up. And it's like, again, someone legitimately cared about us.
Yeah.
Change the whole dynamic.
Yeah.
The whole dynamic. Yeah. And so this isn't me to beat up safety. This is, we've taught people to just follow the rules, not think and make decisions.
Yeah.
Just follow the rules.
Yeah.
You can't be effective if you're just following rules. It's too dynamic of a world.
Yeah.
In which you have to have SOPs to solve some of these things, but you also have to trust your people to make decisions, to make good decisions.
Yeah.
But you have to teach them how to make decisions. And I think that increasingly we're just teaching people how to follow rules.
Yeah.
Don't make decisions. Don't use your brain whatsoever, which it hasn't made things safer. It has made things less productive. And I would argue it's driving people out of the industry because now we're treating people like children. And grown adults don't like to be treated like children.
So there's a good example of a complexity that comes with scale that I didn't understand. So to your point, teaching people not to make decisions, but to follow checklists, right? And if you look at really big companies, even really big companies that we compete with, some of the biggest, they have standard operating procedures all day because they can take somebody and it's like, you got two brain cells to rub together. We can put you in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. As long as you follow these rules, it will largely come out okay. So I can remember when we were smaller, I would make fun of that. I'd be like, because they hire monkeys. Like, we hire smart people and we teach them how to, how to think.
Yeah.
And I really believe that's what you want. You want people to understand the why behind everything and then make the individual decisions. What I can tell you is that as we've grown without any level of their standard operating procedures, I'm shocked at some of the decisions that people make.
I think you have to have both.
Yeah.
So I think it's a marriage.
Yep.
You don't want cowboys and you don't want drones.
Yep. You
want something in the middle. But it's harder.
Yeah. With 500 people that look at that balance ever so slightly differently.
It only gets harder. And I understand why the big companies do it because it's really hard to create culture at scale.
Yes.
So let's just...
The hardest thing. It's harder than winning work.
Yes.
It's harder than building work. It's harder than... it is the hardest thing by magnitudes of scale.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
I've worked for those companies.
Yeah.
But did I choose to work for those companies long? No. I was out because it's like, that's what makes the construction industry special though, is like, I don't just want to follow rules blindly. Like, I can go get a job anywhere. I could go get a job at McDonald's doing that. There's this level of creativity and problem solving in construction that is why I think most people got into it in the first place. It makes it a dynamic environment. It makes it exciting. It makes it aligns with our human creative potential. And I think if you sterilize that,
do you think there's a tipping point?
Then it's just miserable.
Size? Like, based upon your experience, right? You've seen Goliaths and been a part of all this, and certainly are a thinker about it. Do you believe that? And there's a million variables, but given the fact that stuff starts to get diluted with scale, do you think there's a tipping point that's like right there is where it gets
once
hard
you get
enough?
into thousands of people, it's tough.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that one company this morning. Mm-hmm. They're safely over 1,000 people.
Well, way more at this point.
They're thousands probably
thousands now
across the country.
Yep.
And they've got a tiger by their tail in some ways.
Yep.
And I'm sure they have their problems. And I'm sure they've, like any other company, probably have some very colorful ENPS
yes, they do.
responses. Because with that growth, that's just the territory they're in. But you could argue they still have a genuine sense of culture. Yeah. Now, can they continue that? That's the question.
That's the hardest problem to solve.
It's really hard.
When I describe it to people sometimes, like what is it? Why do you like this? What do you? And this gets back to the competitive thing, right? So I think I said this when you and I went out to that one day. There's these statistics on there's some ridiculous number. It's like there's 250 million businesses in the United States. Does that number shock you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because it's like, I think it's like Etsy selling cupcakes to Google.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's hundreds of millions of companies. Maybe it's, I think it's 250 million. Maybe it's 25 million. It doesn't really matter.
Registered businesses.
Yeah. 96% will never do more than $1 million in revenue in a year, right? So now you're down to 4% that'll never do more than $1 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. When you get to $10 million in revenue, it's 0.04%. Mm-hmm. Then 50, 100, 200, it's thousands. You're down to thousands. I think it's like 10,000 companies will do over $100 million a year out of 250. And then when you look at that, you're like, oh, wow, this is like a really small grouping, right? So you go like, okay, well, there's competition in that.
Sure.
And then you go, okay, well, now that you're in that group, then how many of them make good money and how much of them are just getting by the skin on their teeth? And then that slices it down even more. And then you go like, okay, all right, so then you're in an even smaller fractional group. And then you go, okay, so that's hard, right? It's hard to scale it, and then it's hard to be profitable. But it can be done particularly if you're just paying a lot of attention to that. The very hardest thing, like the Olympics of it, is scale, high levels of profitability, and then everybody loves working there. Like, that's the hardest fucking thing in the world. And like, that's where the real that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. Like, this is the hardest game. This is the hardest game to play.
I think that's where construction has the edge, in that it's so fragmented and decentralized.
Yeah, I'm still, you're going to have to explain that to me more. I was thinking about that last night, that because I guess you're probably comparing that to think about microchips.
Think about any other industry: microchips, phones, cars, airplanes, airlines.
Okay.
How many airline options do you have?
Not a ton.
How many? Go start a bank tomorrow.
Yeah.
You want to go start a bank tomorrow?
So what's the result of that? As you compare that to construction?
So other industries are far more consolidated.
Okay.
And that gives them certain power. Everybody thinks it's competition. But of course, the airline executives are getting together. They're like, let's make sure the oil company executives, or pick your industry, let's make sure our world is good to go first.
Yeah.
And then we can go kick the shit out of each other, right?
Yeah.
But they advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
That's why they have these enormous lobbying organizations.
Yeah.
And that's why they're paying off every politician possible. And I'm not saying it's good, but that's how business is done. Mm-hmm. The bigger you are, the more impact you have. That's why the airlines got $50 billion that they didn't have to repay in COVID.
I see what you're saying. Like, they put that together and there's like political will
They're
behind
smart
it.
enough to know that, listen, we're all in this together. So we all need to be buddies here.
Yeah.
And go to the golf course, figure some things out. And then we'll go act like we're competing over here, you know?
Gotcha.
Whereas construction, we don't have that opportunity even.
No.
Because again, we're all...
The best we have is like AGC and some kind of...
Yeah. And when you're controlling a significant percentage of the marketplace, there's probably better margins. There's other opportunities.
You can set the floor.
You can set the floor.
Yeah.
It's not sink or swim as much. It's not as... You're not in this fight or flight mode all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
I'm really generalizing.
Yeah, I get it.
But in construction, I'm fixated on the next guy, and I'm just trying to fight. I'm just trying to get more backlog. I'm just trying to get through this year. If I don't have enough work, I'm worried. If I have too much work, I'm worried. Like, we've never seen more money in construction ever in American history. In 250 years, the amount of spending on construction over the past 5 years is insane.
Equalizing for inflation and all that kind of other stuff.
It's insane how much money was just spent in 5 years. And it's only accelerating, ironically, not now driven by government stimulus, but by these very few tech companies with seemingly unlimited money. Yeah. Where is it coming from? I don't know. But they just can write checks for whatever they want.
Yep.
100 billion, 200 billion, 300 billion, whatever. Let's do it.
It's insane.
And so... But yet everybody is still stressed out. Everybody is still worried.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that's the natural state. Everybody's kind of on edge. And you're a contractor. You're ready for a fight everywhere.
Does anybody win? Is anybody winning Does the consumer win? Who wins in this scenario?
Well, that's the question. I think everybody, if we continue in this world, everybody loses. And I think that's partially why the industry is losing from a workforce standpoint, is because we're up against these more consolidated industries that can be a little bit more deliberate with
Meaning,
workforce.
As it applies to the work. So you can go to work for Amazon, right?
Yeah, and they can just offer things that we can't, because there's
free healthcare,
exactly,
free daycare,
there's stock options, their scale is just unbelievable. But this is, again, you can flip it and be like, wait a minute, I actually don't think all these construction companies need to be 10,000 people. I don't think consolidation is the answer. I don't think it's good. I think we need SOPs across the industry. I think some things, we're doing a lot of stuff that we all shouldn't be figuring out. There's a lot of stuff that's the same. Like an excavator is an excavator.
Yep.
Training on basics is training on basics.
Yep.
OSHA standards are OSHA standards.
Okay.
A road is a road. A pipe is a pipe. Like, there's not a lot of variation in a lot of things, and we're all trying to reinvent the wheel in a bunch of different ways.
Okay.
Let's standardize some of these things across the industry, but let's all be our own thing. Let Felix be Felix. Let Hayden be Hayden. Let Sunt be Sunt. Even though Sunt's big, like, I don't think any one company needs to be that big. And I don't think any one company can actually be a giant.
I think there's a tipping point, and I think the tipping point's less than thousands.
I think it is less than thousands, but I think the industry can be very successful with a bunch of these businesses. And I think those businesses are actually better for the people that work there.
Yeah.
And are more desirable than the big companies.
Yeah.
Because I think the big company thing is like, wait a minute, I'm just going to go be a number.
Yeah.
And no one's going to give a shit about me my whole career?
And
why?
There's certainly things that can drive where that I'm a number thing is. And it's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out as Felix's, one of Felix's current leaders, is that there is this, every peer group that you're in has scaling growth written into it. And certainly there's some level of, if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yes.
You cannot, there's no such thing. You're either sinking or you're swimming. The whole, like, I can just float and not move is Blockbuster and BlackBerry, and you know what I mean? Like, you have to be at least trying to get better, but it can be a little hypnotizing around that. Just means we grew 66%. There's a revenue. So like, grit your teeth, go. Yeah. Because everything has a cost. I would like to find, and it was one of the reasons we were having this conversation about Company X a little while ago, and somebody that's looking to buy them, is that you realize that when you, particularly if you sell to private equity, are these ones that get involved, is that it's just somebody driving a spreadsheet, right? So all they're going to focus on is revenue. So, Felix is in an industry that has very good margins. It has very high barriers to entry. There's a lot about that. We're just very lucky to be in the niche that we're in. So sometimes I ask myself, like, okay, particularly with an ESOP, where you're not paying the taxes, we don't have to have hyper growth, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't want to be flat, and you want to be getting better.
Yeah.
But you don't have to just stomp on the revenue because it has a cost. And do I need to try actively to slow it down? Mm-hmm. But it's a scarcity mentality, and I'm a victim of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I look out, we talked about JOCs, you're familiar enough with them to know that they're 5-year contracts. So I can look at it and go like, man, the wheels are rattling right now. Like, everybody, I can feel it. Like, we don't have enough SOPs. We got too many people. We need to stomp it down. And somebody goes, hey, we got a 5-year JOC. It's $8 million a year over here. Yeah. And I'm like, and a 5-year contract takes 7 years to burn off. Mm-hmm. That third year, nothing gets done. So I don't have the discipline to look at something and say, we're going to be okay 7 years from now. We don't need that. I just don't, man. I look at it and go like, bird in the hand. You got to have it. Bird in the hand.
But I think that's where, I think growth is great, but I think you need to have like some standards there. Like, I think if you can keep it very profitable and take care of your people, then great. Growth was actually fantastic. I think one of the smartest things I heard recently was a company CEO tell me it's a family business, a very old business, wildly successful. He was like, the one rule I have is we cannot exceed $1 billion in revenue.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine what $1 billion looks like.
That's the one rule I have.
Yeah.
I cannot exceed $1 billion in revenue. I've never heard anybody tell me that in construction.
Yeah.
That's the rule. Everybody's like, we're going for $1 billion in revenue.
$1 billion scares the shit out of me.
$1 billion, let's go. Billions. Like, but that to me that's extraordinary discipline.
Yeah.
That's really intelligent business. Not that that's the end all be all, but then they just obsess over how do we make this thing better and better and better and better? Because revenue is only one growth metric.
Yeah.
There's a lot of growth opportunity
that are much harder to measure.
Yes, within $1 billion.
Yeah.
But that's why we like the dollars, because it's easy to measure, and construction's full of people that just like to measure things.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Linear foot of pipe, yard of concrete, gallon of diesel.
Yep.
If we can see it, I've got 335 excavators. Three 335 excavators. I can see them. I can look at them on my balance sheet. I can feel really good about it.
Mm-hmm. Very easy to measure.
Yes.
But, to the first part of this conversation, which is the cultural part of it, the best thing we have that applies a number is EMPS. That's the best thing that we have, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's got people on the other end of it that have emotions and ways of looking at things. Overhead's high, let's trim back. Get rid of this position, not hire this position. Like there's a fucking button for that. There's a boot, hit that button. These other things are much harder, in my opinion, to do. But the whole industry's hard, man. We're full of people that solve problems for a living, right? So the fact that it's hard doesn't, who said it was going to be easy? Who said it was going to be easy?
That's all we do is hard
Nobody
shit.
ever told me it was going to be easy.
And I'm like, guys, this is easier than building the stuff we do. We already do the hard stuff, like putting a plant together.
I don't know, man.
It's hard.
I think the people side is so much harder than the actual work.
Yeah, but that it's also, that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think too, people have the wrong mindset. They're like, oh, the people. I'm like, dude, that's a dangerous place to be. Get out of there as quickly as you can. It's hard,
but here's the thing. It's like, it's not that much harder to be better because I think the bar's really low. And here's the other thing. When people, it's so much easier because it's so much easier to like, I'll be in these peer groups and I'll hear people bitching about it. And it's so much easier when you look at somebody else and be like, hey, but here's the thing. This is what I love about it is we all have the same problem.
Yeah.
So when you're like, blah, 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 and I was like, oh, does your competition have that problem? Yeah. Then what the fuck are you complaining about? All you got to do is be better than that guy. So this thing.
By like 1%.
Yeah, by like 1%. not so I get it if you were like, if there was some kind of, preference. Like sometimes if you go into a different market, they'll have a local preference and like, oh, this guy gets 3% off his bid. Okay, like that's tough. Somebody's playing with the math. Yeah. But like, oh, I can't get good people. Well, they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Or they're going over there. Well, what do you think the reason that they're going over there for is? It's because it's a better place to work. And if you're responsible for making this place a better place to work, then what the fuck are you bitching about? Be a better place to work.
But it's like, this is what confuses me. It's like we play Monopoly, and hey, when you pass go, you collect $200.
Yep.
We go around the board. You get to go first. You make $200, and I'm like, what? Why did you get $200? Like, you get into business. Yeah. You agree upon these rules, and then you're complaining about the rules. Mm-hmm. You're complaining about like, this is the bar, man. Yeah. People, business, and that's what confuses me. It's like, this is not productive. You're complaining about the thing you're doing, and no one's forcing you to be a businessman.
Yeah, that's right.
Go play golf.
You can choose to
get
not
out
do
of
it.
here. Go on. But I'm not worried about those guys anymore at the same time because again, people like you and others aren't playing that game.
Yeah,
and they're just going over the years, just chip away.
Yeah,
at that establishment.
Yep.
No matter how long they've been in business, how many machines that they have. I mean, I'm seeing big companies right now, no succession plan whatsoever. And if you have no succession plan whatsoever and the guy in charge is 67 years old, good luck.
Yeah.
And that's why let me just call one of the big companies that's buying everybody and let me just
suck it up. Yeah.
Pull the cord and tear my parachute.
I remember when we were going through the process and I was talking to everybody about it and they were like, well, how long before the 4 owners are out? And we're like, 5, 10, and like 15. They're like, years? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, oh God, nobody looks at this, that. Nobody looks at that. But our attitude about it, the way I thought about it is like, good decisions are never made under duress, right? Like everybody's healthy. Nobody's getting divorced. Nobody's looking to get out tomorrow.
Yeah.
The market's really good. We're making lots of money. We're going to sit around and wait for one of those things to go wrong. So you got a gun to your head and somebody's feeling like, why would you just not do it now? And there's lots of things about the ESOP with warrants and things that you don't have to get into the whole game. Like, oh, if I wait another year and this went up a little higher, like, man, it's just a great way. I really think more companies should, but to your point, they shouldn't wait till the guy's got cancer and then he's deciding to get out, right? Like good decisions are never made under duress. No. And it took a lot of time to build this business, but contractors seem to be like, I got a lot going on right now. I'll think about it later. I got a lot going on. I'll think about it later.
And I haven't seen it done well unless it's like a 10-year plan minimum.
Yeah.
Like it has to kind of be, that's why the cat dealers have done so well, is because it's a long plan.
Yeah. Because a lot of shit's going to change. If you got to try to squeeze it through that hole in 3 years, the likelihood that it's all going to go perfect is really bad. Give yourself the runway to not stress the business, particularly with cash.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and to just equip somebody or a team to take over, especially from a founder-led company, because you're creating a different system.
Yeah.
You can never recreate what the founder has done.
That's right.
It's not feasible. But you want to systematize as much as you can while they're still around.
Yeah.
But then it's a dance between those two, because especially when the founder's still around, they have to have the maturity and understanding to know that I've got to let up here.
Yeah.
We're ushering in a different era.
And you must have seen 1,000 guys that just can't let it go.
There are a lot of guys that cannot let it go. And I understand why. Yeah. I mean,
But
we'll be in that position.
It's super irresponsible though. Like it's not fair to yourself. It's particularly not fair to your spouse. Yes. And then you are putting everybody that has chosen to put their livelihood in your hands at risk for your ego. It's
not fair to how many people work at the company? That's who it's not fair to.
Correct. Yeah.
That whole list of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very, 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 very unfair.
Yeah, I hate to use this word because it'll piss a lot of people off, but it's selfish.
It is selfish. But again, that's where I think the market is already dictating that, because again, me as an individual, I wouldn't go to work for a company that's either not an ESOP or has a very well thought out succession plan with the potential for me to have some stake in ownership.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be an ESOP, but I would not go to work for a civil construction company right now without a clear succession plan and without a clear opportunity.
Because you're watching it run off the lit. You're watching it run off the cliff, right?
And I couldn't, knowing what I know now, be a part of that.
Knowing what I know about ESOP, my kids are 15 and 13, and neither one of them are showing any interest in getting into construction, which is fine. But I've told them both, like, hey, one day when you decide what you're going to get into, and maybe you'll own your own business one day, that'll be great. You got 2 parents that own businesses, so you've been listening to stuff your whole life. But at some point, you got to go work for somebody else and have them pay you to learn how to run the business, right? Like there's value in having somebody else, But I said, whatever you decide to get into, the very first criteria that you should sort by, for lack of a better term, is whether or not they're an ESOP, because it automatically checks off like 5 things that matter. Mm-hmm. Like right out of the gate, you can just be like, hey, they're into rewarding the people that actually make the business run. There's not somebody that's like hoarding cash to go buy another, you know what I mean?
I would say 100% ESOP.
What's that?
I would say,
I'd
feel a lot better about 100% ESOP.
That's how I reference everything, because that's what we are. So I've never dug into the minutia. And what is that, like tax saving games? Is that what's going on there with that shit?
Yeah, sometimes it's a club, and if you're not invited into the club, you're not in the club.
Well, I'm just going to say 100% ESOP, 100%, right? Yeah. That right out of the gate there, that just tells you a lot that you don't have to.
Sometimes it's union challenges.
Yeah. We have one of the peer groups that we're in. They're back east, or in the Midwest, I should say, and they have a certain percentage. Yeah, and I'm not smart enough for that, man. There's some complications around that. Like these guys get it and these guys don't, and all that kind of stuff.
They're not involved in it, and so it's everybody's salary.
God, I splitting your conversations. Yeah, I don't know about that. About that. But to your point about the guys that are running these companies. The one that I talked about that's back east, that is the most successful in our peer group, that has decided to do it. they've one of the things that I'm the most excited about is because your trustee will force you to have succession. If you just want to go like, no, we're making money, it's good, I don't want to think about it. The trustee, they force you to get external board members to get people to, they force you to get people that are going to make you answer those questions, because the nature of people that are founders that have these big companies are just like, oh, worry about it later. And when you have really strong personality founders that set the culture of the company and are tied in to winning the work, like they've got the relationships, and you just keep on thinking like, oh, somebody will take it. And then those guys kind of pull out. Yeah. You look at it and go like, your bonding company won't let any of you get on the same plane together, but yet you're all supposed to retire within a couple of years of each other. That is the plane wreck. Mm-hmm. It's the plane wreck.
Yeah, it's that outside accountability function is really important as well. Even if it's a private company, having an external board can be hugely beneficial. Yep. I've heard for construction companies. But
and it's one of the things that people, whenever I would talk about, they're like, don't you have to get a board? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, they're going to tell you how to run the company. I'm like, not really. They're just they're going to make sure you're paying attention to the shit you should be paying attention to. They're going to hold me accountable, right?
Which you should be and that's also part of my problem. And I have that personality. I don't like being told what to do, which is why I'm in the position I'm in. Yep. And it helps me some ways. It doesn't help me in other ways.
Yep.
Relationships. It really hasn't helped me. But
there's times that you can look at it and go like, I probably should have that.
Yeah. But I'm learning. I'm learning slowly. But I don't think it's good to just be a business owner and you're a king over your fiefdom, and you have your fiefdom, and everybody says yes sir, and you aren't accountable to anybody. You don't actually report to anybody. I think that's a really hard place to be.
Yeah.
Because then you are a human being. You are a flawed human being, and you are trying to self-regulate for 750 people. Like, the odds of that happening, the odds of you never having a blind spot ever.
Yeah, they're impossible.
It's impossible. You're a human being. And so to have a mechanism somewhere that's like, dude,
yeah,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Peer groups can do that. And that corruption is a bad word because corrupt makes it sound like bad shit, but it's Lincoln. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, yes. Right? So you get somebody that's got no checks and balances, right? And they're making tons of money and they're killing it all over the place. Like, you can't reel that in. That will eventually get out of control.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we've not at all
yeah, I was going to say, what are we into this?
Yeah, so you originally texted me really about water, wastewater, but about people getting into the
industry.
Water,
yeah, you posted something.
Wastewater industry.
Yeah, you posted something about people are always asking you like, hey, if I want to get into construction, what type of construction would I get into? And I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but you said something to the effect of, there's more people, the infrastructure's aging. Mm-hmm. That seems like a good area, I think, is something to that effect. And I was like, hey, yeah, you know where that exists? All over the place, specifically and in water. And then what I said is like, I need a platform because we're in this really essential industry that's invisible. Mm-hmm. So it's very hard to attract people to something because they don't appreciate it, because they don't even know it exists.
Yeah.
That's the punchline.
But the opportunity is that everybody uses it. So if you can get them to recognize that they're using it every day and that it's actually all around them and they could not live without it, literally, that's a big opportunity.
So I'd like to, I'm going to give you my thing that I say when I'm standing at our booth and a kid comes up and goes like, Felix Construction, what do you guys do, right? So it's at a career fair at a high school or a college or whatever, and they come up and they look, and you have to put sexy pictures of big machines like that because you got to kind of draw them in. And we do, we're considered civil. We're certainly not horizontal, right? But it's like this mixture. So here's what I say to people to try to get the point across. So I'll just ask you. So quite literally, when you got out of bed this morning, what's the first thing you did?
Oh, I peed when I get up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you went to the bathroom, right? And then at some point, either before you went to bed or when you got up this morning, what did you
definitely showered.
You took a shower.
Drank a glass of water.
Drank a glass of water, or there's a lot of people, cup of coffee.
Right? I did that too.
Yeah.
Bean water.
And then I know you're a runner, so maybe you wear too, but the clothes that you're wearing, are they clean?
Yep.
They're clean clothes, right?
Yeah.
So, so you got out of bed, you peed.
Yeah.
When you took a shower, presumably brushed your teeth in the shower before or after it, made yourself a glass of water, a cup of coffee. So the first 4 or 5 things that you and every human being you will meet today did, every one of those things does not exist unless we do what we do.
Yeah.
And I would imagine you more than most people, but because you're attached to the industry. But when I talk to anybody, I say, and I try to explain to them what we do, because people are always like, so you're a plumber? And I'm like, no.
I mean, kind of.
Kind of. but really big, really big.
Yeah,
but here's what I'll say. I was like, so I'll just say, well, here's how I'm going to try to get the point across. When you turn on your water, where does it come from? And they're like, well, this is the pipes in the building. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, where does the water in the pipes in the building come from? And maybe you'll get people that'll be like, well, there's this little box in front of my house that when you open it up, there's scorpions in there, and there's this little round thing in there with like a little
there's a bunch of scorpions.
Yeah. But it's full of cobwebs and shit, and there's this little thing in there. It's a meter, and it measures how much water comes in my house. Yeah, that's correct. I'm like, okay, but before that, where does it come from? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, okay,
the
all right.
river?
Yeah. And then I'll say, all right, well, okay, when you flush the toilet or take a shower or wash the dishes and the water goes away, where does it go? They go, oh, well, it goes in other pipes in the house. I'm like, that's right. Okay. Where does it go before that? And maybe you'll get people like, and they'll try to describe a clean out in their front yard where there's like a double angle or whatever. And I'm like, well, but beyond that. And sometimes you'll get like 20% of the people, they'll be like, there's these metal rings in the middle of the street, like a manhole cover. They're like, yeah, manhole. And that's pretty far, right? We made it beyond the curb. Mm-hmm. I'm like, but where's that go? And they're like, I don't know. 99.9% of the people, well, here, ironically, it does, but after it goes through treatment. So it affects everything that you do. And then if you look at like the triangle of things, like construction specifically, I was watching your thing the other day where you were describing to people, you went to CEMEX and you were describing the process, right? It's water and that. So the bridges and the roads and the cloth and the water and the plastic. We are the very first thing in the material food chain. Every single person uses it every single day. But the problem is, and I think I mentioned this before, when I first got out of college, I went to work for a civil engineering design firm, and it just so happened I got into water wastewater because they made me an inspector on water wastewater jobs. So it's like a bullet leaving a gun. Like once that trajectory starts, that's kind of what you just stay on. And I remember one of my first days, him saying, the sign of good infrastructure is that you don't know it exists. It's designed to be invisible. And I think that's where, and I don't want to call it a problem. I don't want exposed pipe running down the street, but it's very hard to attract people to this industry, to learn anything about it, to understand how important it is, to understand how, what a great career it is, all the things that are great about how secure it is, right? Because of how it really is absolutely necessary if they don't even know it exists. And nobody knows it exists beyond there's a whirly thing in my front yard and it goes out, and it's billions and billions of dollars that the whole world has to have to survive, and nobody even knows it exists. And it's not for everybody. Sometimes you get people in it and they're like, this isn't, like, I want to build skyscrapers and I want to be on the front of E&R magazine. Yeah. But man, I'm telling you, there are certain people that are into problem solving and understand that you got to understand civil, and you got to understand concrete, you have to understand electricity, and you have to understand SCADA, and you have to understand biology. That, like, if you're a problem-solving individual, and then this whole thing, which I'm sure we'll get into, like what this next generation cares about, which is impact. I mean, I'm obviously biased, but holy shit,
it's huge impact. And I was telling you last night when we were talking through it. It's actually incredible. One, it's incredible how we've eliminated that as a problem. Water. Yeah. Clean water. I can go get clean water any time of day, anywhere I want.
And solving that problem
in itself
is so complicated to make that.
It's one of the most incredible modern miracles. People talk, when they talk about life expectancy and medical system and this and that, no, fuck all that. It's great. Yeah. But it is a small fraction compared to water, wastewater.
Yeah.
Because water, wastewater, it allows for irrigation, it allows for food, it allows for us to eliminate diseases, and then it gets us the water we need. Without that, like, there is no modern humanity.
Everything is predicated on it. Everything.
And the fact that it is so readily accessible and that it works all the time, or almost every single time, unless something is really wrong in my life.
Yeah.
Something's really wrong.
Yeah.
But I can't even remember a time where, like, maybe the pipe is frozen here, you know, in the winter.
Yeah.
I get water out of my tap.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about drinking it.
So it's not your fault. You take it for granted, right? Now you pay for it, right? And we'll get into that a little bit. It's too cheap, which is part of the problem. But to me, you know, the intent of me asking you to be on is that the industry needs more good people. I want more good people. And I feel like the biggest challenge is nobody knows it exists, right?
Yeah.
And so if there was a way to get people, to have that light bulb go off of like, oh, holy shit, yeah, the first 5 things I did do today were related to that. You know, like we have a really robust internship program that I'm super proud of. And when they're finishing up for the end of the summer, I always tell them like, hey, I encourage you to go get other internships, right? Because this is your time to be able to decide what you want to do. It's also your time to figure out what you don't want to do. Yeah. Like I went to ASU like you did. I did a residential internship. It was great. I worked for U.S. Homes for a couple of minutes. I got to the end. I was like, that was great. Nope, not for me. Yeah. And then I went to work they were building Bank One Ballpark at the time. It's now Chase Field or whatever. Yeah, it was on the front of E&R magazine at a whopping $330 million. That's got to be a change order on a stadium nowadays, right?
Well, don't even get me started on
yeah,
stadiums.
exactly.
There's
one being built here. I noticed when we came in.
Total waste of money and a huge drain.
Well, you're from Phoenix. We got one for hockey and one for baseball and one for and every spring training. But I'm not a sports guy, so I'm a bad guy to ask.
Even the Glendale Stadium was built for like $350 million. I don't even think $500 million. This one's $3 billion.
Yeah,
and
make that.
Is it any better than the Cardinal Stadium? Not really.
Everybody's watching the big screen anyway.
But it's for economic activity. I'm going to be so much better off for it. Yeah, I can't wait.
And the taxpayers pay for it.
Yeah. Let's make the billionaires more wealthy.
Yeah, I'm not a sports guy, so it's tough for me to. Sorry, where was it? What were we talking about just there? Just from a career that you can know. So again, you're from Arizona. It's cyclical and it's around housing, right? Like housing drives it all. And you'll have these big home builders.
It does, but not as much anymore. It's not 2005.
Yeah, it's not 2005, but it's a big factor.
It is a big factor. Like real estate is
a
big factor.
We were talking about yesterday when you were asking me about JOC, and I was explaining like, okay, well that's a good segment to be in because it comes from water meter bills, not from capital improvement. Housing drives the capital improvement. You want to go build some more houses over there. You want to build TSMC. You want to build a stadium. The water has to come from somewhere. So that drives the capital improvement side of what we do. It requires growth. Whereas JOC is just like, okay, there's the 7 million people there. They're going to flush their toilets and turn their water on every day. And that infrastructure is slowly eating itself. So we have to constantly be investing in that to keep it going. So if you get into water, wastewater, and you're good at it, you can go anywhere in the world and go say 5 or 6 words that tell the person on the other side that you actually understand water, wastewater, and you will have a job tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yeah, it is incredible. Like that, there's a few things that will always need to happen. Water, wastewater is certainly one of them. No matter economic conditions or anything like that. I know it varies with capital improvement. Yeah. Another thing is waste. Like that's why I love the waste industry.
Oh yeah, it's another one.
We're always throwing shit away.
Yep.
It doesn't. I know when the economy's good, the boxes are a little bigger, so there's more waste. Yeah. I like the waste business does like the economy to be better too, but it's we're always doing it. And how are you going to automate putting pipes in the ground?
You're not.
How are you going to automate building a treatment plant?
Yeah.
Good luck. You're not. Just go to one and look at it, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, robots aren't doing this.
Oh, I see.
Here's the other one, Aaron, is we talked about this yesterday, because sometimes I'll have this conversation with people, and you'll see the light bulb go off a little bit, and they'll be like, yeah, the only one that's maybe as equal or more is like electricity. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. So I was on the way here, I was on the plane, and I was like, because in Arizona, where you and I are from, we have Palo Verde, right? So it's nuclear. So, but people often, they're like, oh no, it's coal. or it's nuclear, or it's natural gas. So here, when I flew in, I looked up the statistics. It's like 40% is from a nuclear power plant somewhere around here, and then 17% is natural gas, and then it's coal, and then there's something else, and like 2 to 3% is photovoltaic, solar, and wind. So let's go on the low end and say 98% of the electricity that's making that light bulb turn on and that's powering this microphone was generated by steam. So here's, for those that don't know, electricity is made by spinning a turbine in a magnet, just at a massive scale, and spinning that turbine is done with steam, which is heating water.
You're going to upset the electricity people, though, because they're going to be like, how do you get the water there? Pumps. How do you make the pumps go? Electricity.
Well,
like
it's
chicken versus egg there, mister.
Yeah, it is a chicken and the egg thing. Yeah, it is a chicken and the egg thing.
Yeah.
But with I would argue, not that this is the point, but even if you take like geothermal and things like that don't necessarily require it, Jesus, what's the word for Hoover Dam?
Hydro.
Hydro. You've got gravity. You know what I mean? But the point is those two things that everyone will tell you, the cornerstones of society are built upon water and electricity, and both of those things you absolutely cannot have unless you do what we do. You asked me the other day, where like 91st Avenue, which is the city of Phoenix's, the state's largest wastewater treatment. Where does all that effluent go? It goes to Palo Verde.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been wrestling with have you seen the trades in the news recently?
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to pick up steam.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook now
Mm-hmm.
is super pro trades. BlackRock, super pro. It's like, what's going on here? What's happening? Well, they need the data centers, and they know that. But it's also very telling that they can't go do what they do without people building stuff. And they're with this conversation. There's also the conversation that is like, so what industries are not going to get beat up? And then people go to the trades, and then immediately they go to, well, be an HVAC technician, go be a plumber, go be a home electrician. They always think about it from a home standpoint, and almost all of the talk is from a residential perspective.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Whenever you tell somebody you're a contractor, and I would say, I bet this would be the case of just about anybody you've ever had sat in this chair, and they go, what do you do, a contractor? And they go, oh, you build houses.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing that there is. Like, the average person just goes, contractor, house.
Yes. But that's like 99% of the conversation right now, that and data centers. But if I'm somewhat educated on the subject now. If I was looking for an industry that was really insulated, at least for my career, I'd be looking at power, water, transportation, waste. I'd be all over those worlds and find whatever world you like. Within that, building's not for me. Home construction, not for me. And everybody wants to go do buildings until they do it. And it's like, wait a minute. So
it's somewhat of a commodity.
Repeat it again.
It'll make some people mad, but it's
and then you repeat it again. And then you repeat it again. And then you as the engineer, you're like the doorknob guy. You know, you're not.
Exactly. You're not Frank Lloyd Wright, buddy.
No. And you're not building the Empire State Building,
exactly.
okay? Yeah, it's another rectangle.
This isn't Palo Verde West or Palo Verde, whatever it's called.
But I would be, and I would not even be considering residential. It's important. Great. But I would be, honestly, like homeowners can do a lot of that stuff, but what they can't do is work on a water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, transmission main, even the basic water infrastructure in the street in front of their house.
Can't do it.
Assemble a megalug.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much there. And the craziest thing is, it's all old.
Yeah.
Like the Hollywood thing. 110-year-old transmission main, 36 inches, scheduled for replacement in 2031, just bursts open at 3 a.m. one morning and floods a whole section of Hollywood.
So whatever extent you think there's demand in the industry now, it's going to do nothing but go up. And just in terms of...
Because it's physics.
You and I were having the conversation about revenue earlier. You know how much cheaper it is to put that piece of pipe in originally? Even if I'm not talking about the time value of money. I'm talking about like, okay, there's not a street here. A subdivision. So you got to Sun City Festival Ranch or like we did all that stuff.
I helped build Verado back in the day.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Rummel. Rummel did. We're very close with Rummel. So those developers, like they like their 1 or 2 dirt guys. They like their 1 or 2 water wastewater guys. Mm-hmm. We've always been in that club. So the first 2 booster pump stations and the first 3 well sites that fed Verado, Felix did, because it was a CMAR and
Nice.
Yeah, old Caterpillar proving ground. But anyway, it's the dirt guys and then us. We're the second one in, because even the pipeline guys, they can't fill up the line and pressure test it and disinfect it until there's a booster pump station and a water reservoir to fill it up. So literally, the dirt guys clear and grub, and then they mass grade it, and we are literally the second ones in.
And then the pipe guys just make it a mess.
Yeah.
You just blow up everything. Grade, everything imaginable.
But even think about that,
and
that
the dirt
people
guys
go
have
like,
to come
oh
back.
yeah, it's the pipes, but they all connect to something, right? And to be clear, for those that, what we do, and there's some that kind of do both, but in general, you have pipeline guys that are unsaid because that's kind of blow and go. It passes a pressure test, and if it has slope, that's all you need. For us, it's much more nuanced, right?
Yeah,
like we don't do things by production rate. We look at man hours, but like when we look at a booster pump station, we're not saying how many pump cans a day can we get. It's not how many linear feet of PR. Like everything is in the plant side. It's much more. It's not production based. I don't want to tell you it's not at all, but it's not like blow and go pipe work.
When you think about a house, you do think what leads to the house. You've got a driveway so that you can drive places. You've got a water line, sewer line, fiber line, gas line.
Yep.
Power.
Yep. Everyone has a power line, a data line, a water line, and a sewer line. And the deepest ones that have to go in first are water and sewer. And then you don't want water dripping on your internet.
Yeah.
So those are the deepest ones that go in first. We're there first. We're there second behind the dirt guys.
But even sewer, like water is a little sexier. Sewer, not as sexy. But is that a business to be in? Because
God, it's so.
I was kind of joking around, but your dog takes a shit. And you're just like, dude, what did you eat? You're like, wait a minute, I feed you, so I know what you ate. And what's in that? This is terrible.
Yep.
That would be our whole world if it weren't for a modern sewer system. I mean, people don't talk about it. It's crazy. And I think about it. I do think about it all the time. I go to the bathroom, and then I get rid of it. Would be a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. If I don't have water, eliminated. I don't think about it ever.
Well, that's where the Black Plague. Did you know that about the?
No, it's killed. Fecal matter has killed so many people throughout human history.
Way more than wars.
Way more than anything. Like that was the major human problem, was sanitation, and we've just eliminated that. In a lot of the world has not.
Yeah. More people have cell phones than clean drinking water.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. I've
worldwide.
Seen
you've described.
I go to a lot of places now where it's like, I mean, the local people can drink the water because they're used to it. But if I came in and drank it, dude, I would be messed up the next day.
Yeah.
But even that, like, it just, again, you think about, I need to brush my teeth. I didn't get a water bottle.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't not think about it when you're in different parts of the world.
Yeah. It's so, so I just, for selfish reasons, and not just for Felix, for the industry, I wanted to be here because I want a platform to get people to at least ask the question, right? One of the reasons why I love our internship program is we get people in and we get kids that get to the end and they're like, I want to build bridges, or I like roads, or I want to build the, tilt up or whatever. And that's great, right? Like everybody's got different.
Who wants to build tilt ups?
Nobody, but
yeah.
I've got friends that build tilt up. I've got friends that do tilt up and they're going to watch this, right?
I know.
But we do everything, man. Like you have to understand hydraulics. You have to understand chemistry. You have to understand biology. You have to understand low voltage and medium voltage electricity. All this stuff around AI. The plants are run by computers. Now there are humans out there that they're making decisions around anomalies, but like. It's not like, oh, the wet well's full, turn on the pump. The wet well's not full, turn off the pump. There's not somebody on a switch. Your fish tank out here that we talked about, it's got a float in it, right? It's got a float that's pulling off the RO. It's just that on a massive scale.
A cool video I really want to do is it starts with flushing the toilet and ends with me drinking the water. Yeah. We tried that one time and they weren't very stoked about it because
Who's like, they?
giant, massive water districts because they're like, we don't want the message to be this is toilet water.
Yeah,
but it's
whoever came up with,
but it is.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly what you're doing. You're treating toilet water and making it drinking water.
Yeah. Whoever came up
What's
with
the problem?
So you had a marketing business, right? And I'm constantly amazed by how something. So whoever came up with toilet to tap should be shot, right? Because like no mom wants to hear toilet to the water that feeds my baby, right? Like it's just bad marketing.
Even though they're feeding their baby like Cheez-Its and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started on. But you and I come from the Southwest. It's much more of a problem there than it is here. Water's abundant here. Yeah. You know, you still got the same problems, but our problem in the Southwest, which is one of the reasons why being in the water business in Arizona is a good business to be in, because it's much more of a, you know, it's scarcity. But man, I am telling you that if you build one of these things and you watch the filtration process at the end for something that's got advanced water purification, where you're running it through an MBR plant and then you're running it through a UV filter and then you're injecting a little bit of chlorine and then
it's the cleanest water.
It's the cleanest, and people will be like, oh, there's algae, there's green algae. Well, back to the fish tank. That's a sign that it's very, very pure water. I drink that all day long. I would drink that all day long.
Yeah, it'd be a good video. I just need to find a water district.
Scottsdale is the only place in Phoenix that really does it to a level that you could be, because this is a little bit of a, I don't know what the right word is, but like A+, the plant A+ effluent happens every day that they test.
Such a Scottsdale move. They need the cleanest poo water out there.
Well, it's because they do injection, and if you don't have super clean water, then it fouls.
That's what this was it was injection. Ramping up to 50 million gallons per day of injection. Wow,
that's a lot.
Monster.
Yeah, I drank that all day long.
I drank it.
Yeah,
but they didn't want that.
You know what they do with it? Arizona Water, which is every city or every state has a water industry, and AZ Water. They pull up these trailers where they make beer out of it. And for some reason, people are cool with that. They're like, yeah, this microbrew, was made with, for some reason, I don't know if they think the alcohol's killing it, but it's like you just had to add another layer of something. It's marketing, man. It's just marketing. But God knows convincing people is one of the hardest things to do.
I do remember we grew up on a golf course in Phoenix, and they water with the reclaimed water. And my mom was always worried about us playing in the sprinklers. She was like, don't do that. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go out and like drink it firsthand.
No,
the stuff but it's one of the things. Again, being from Arizona, all the snow that they make in Flagstaff is coming off the cattail plant. I can't remember which one of those. That's all reclaimed water.
Don't tell people that you're skiing in poo snow. But the funny thing is, it's so like you would have no idea.
You'd have no idea.
Even sewage, it's a lot less gross than people think it is. Like if you pop open a manhole and just look at the flow, it just looks like dirty water. Like you think there's going to be giant turds floating down and all kinds of stuff, and there is some solids, but not really. And then it gets to the plant. The first thing they do is pull out all the rags and the
cats and dogs, so to speak.
Which is pretty gross.
Yeah,
that's the one part that's like, this is properly disgusting, man. But then once it's past that part, it's just dirty water. And then once it's past like the first step or two.
Yes, first step. That's probably the second one. Yeah. Once it goes through settling.
Once you settle the solids,
put some coag in it. Yeah.
It's like kind of clean water at that point before it really gets hit with the process.
So Arizona, and if I remember correctly, based upon here, because you guys have lakes and it's more abundant, the vast majority of Nashville, where we sit, is surface water treatment, right? That's where it comes from.
Cumberland River, right next to us.
If you look at that coming in, or where we're from in Arizona, the CAP is pulling in, and you look at that after a rainstorm, it's raining right now, it's fucking chocolate milk, man. It's got grocery carts in it. It's got fucking dead cows a couple of miles upstream.
Yeah.
There's nothing about that you're looking at and going like, I'm going to...
Those big old carp.
Yeah, it's 65% of the water supply in Phoenix. Right? It's super gross, dirty water. They're literally running it through the exact same process that you do in wastewater. It's easy to look at that one and go like, oh, this is fine to drink, but this one's not.
I know. I like it. Yeah. But that's where...
It's the same process.
That's where the industry needs to tell that story. And that's why I'm like, Come on, I'll tell that story all day.
Yeah.
But I think we just need to work a little harder on finding the right.
Similar to this next generation, cares more about purpose. I would like to think that this next generation thinks a little harder. Like let's sit down and have somebody actually explain this to me, like why it's important, and I should listen to the people that are experts on it.
Yeah.
Because in Phoenix, for instance, one of the reasons why it's so important is, and you get into energy consumption and everything, what we do in real simplified terms for the places that we don't send it to a golf course or send it to Palo Verde is you spend, because our aquifer is so deep, right? We're 400 or 500 feet. Mm-hmm. The major bill at a treatment plant is electricity, because you know how much energy it takes to take that water, suck it up out of the ground, and then put it into a tank, add a little chlorine, send it to the system, and then it goes in your sink, then it goes down the drain, then it makes its way out to the manhole, then it takes gravity, goes through a couple of sewer lift stations, then it makes its way back to the wastewater treatment plant that oftentimes, ironically, is on the same site. You'd like surprise.
Yeah.
The water station, all the stuff that does the water is on the north side of the property, and the wastewater treatment plant is on the south side of the property.
This one right next to our office.
Yeah.
I can see the digers from the window that I sit in. I can see my poo goes right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's incredibly efficient.
Yeah. So, because there are a lot of efficiencies for doing it that way. So,
because it's kind of the same process.
It's the same process. Yeah. So then, but when it comes out of the end of the wastewater treatment plant, and there's losses in the system for sure. So it's not 100%. And that's one of the things that's a little off about the math is it's not a closed system. It's not a closed system. So you're always going to need some of it. But when you get it at the end and you go like, okay, what do we do with this massive amount of water? We go, oh, just stick it back in the ground where it came from so we can spend a whole bunch of electricity to just suck it out of the ground again 100 feet away. And because you put it down there, now it's purified more than... Like it doesn't even, it gets back to, and this is the big catchphrase with anything to do with water, it's the solution is dilution. So you just shove it back in an aquifer that's an infinitely large swimming pool, and it gets diluted enough that by the time you take it back out of the ground, you go, oh, now it's good.
Well, but even the way aquifers work, it takes so long for it to get anywhere. Like water doesn't move very fast within an aquifer. It's a very, very slow process.
Depending on where it is.
Depending on what kind of aquifer it is.
Yeah,
but I mean, it can take decades to get like across a parking lot. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there's streams though, like they're underground rivers.
Sure. Yeah. There'll be
Yeah. That's it, man. You want to talk about a voodoo industry. So obviously we build a lot of wells, right? So somebody goes out there and looks at a bunch of data based upon the production of wells. And if you're back east here, you got to dig down 20 feet and it's there. But in Arizona, where you got to drill 1,000-foot hole to be able to get to the water, that's at 500 feet. And we have some natural occurring constituents like arsenic, and arsenic's one. Nitrates come from fertilizer, though, that comes over the years. PFAS now is a big thing. We could have a 10-hour conversation on PFAS, which is another thing. Like, hey, I want to get into an industry where there's a future. We'll spend so much money taking plastics out of the water at this point.
My eyes start to glaze over. Yeah, I just don't.
But
people have tried to explain to me, like, I don't get it. Man.
Polyester. Every time you wash.
I know, I get cotton. It. They just start to get into the PFAS treatment process. I'm like, bro, this is.
Yeah, it's just absorption like anything else. But the point is like. We put it in there, we pollute it, now we got to take it out. That's all going to come from what we do, right? That's all going to come from what we do. The future is very bright.
In Arizona, it's definitely more talked about. I remember going out as part of a school trip to SRP, and they even have like recharge basins where they just let water just flow, and they don't recharge as much as they should because of the water consumption. But Phoenix is interesting too, because water consumption's gone down over the past half century.
Oh, a ton,
because they've eliminated irrigation essentially in favor of houses, which consumes less water than
way less water. I mean, think about driving down. I don't know a ton of farmers, but when you drive through, I live out at like 303 in the Waddell, so I'm in the extreme northwest area, and a lot of that is starting to expand now. But if you drove out there 10 years ago before they did the 303, it was nothing but farmland.
There was when I came out to see you, I was shocked with how built up it was out there, because I'm like 10 years ago, nothing of this existed.
Yeah, it was 2 lanes. But it was right around the time they did Verado, right around that same time period is when they did the 303. But think about irrigating watermelons in July through ditches.
Yeah.
You know what the evaporation rate is on that?
Well, I mean, I went to Arcadia, and it's still known. It's not really anymore. It's known for stuck-up people nowadays, unfortunately. But
Scottsdale South.
Yeah, it's people that I'm too good for Scottsdale. It was all grapefruit, orange, lemon, lime, and so all the lots are still flood irrigated. Mm-hmm. So you can get a house, and not all of them. The rich people have said, I don't want flood irrigation, but a lot of the lots still, it's the berm around the entire perimeter of the property, and then they just flood it every week, once a week to grow your grass. But it was the whole system designed for the citrus trees.
Yeah. Well, you were at the house when you came over to look at the fish tank. We've got that piece of property across the street where my daughter and my wife have a horse, and it's flood irrigation. Like we go out there, and I'm often the one, because I get up early, that pulls the 2:00 in the morning shift to go open up the valve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see the guys out there.
I'm gonna automate that fucking thing. You just wait. I'm gonna put it on a solar deal. I'm gonna put an MOV on it.
But it is interesting. Even a place like Florida right now, water is a huge problem. Mm-hmm. Ironically, in a place like Florida, where if you put a shovel in the ground, you're hitting groundwater because of the saltwater intrusion.
Yep.
So they're pulling so much water out of the aquifer in the middle of the state. Then if you're pulling water out, it's just basic physics. The water then outside of it, the ocean wants to come in.
Yeah.
And then if you get saltwater intrusion in your aquifer, now you have brackish water, which is fresh and saltwater mixed.
Yeah.
And it's not unusable, but in a way, it is unusable.
Oh, it's unusable in the sense,
unless it's treated.
Yeah, so then you're into desalinization.
And now you're into a totally different process. And Florida is like, yo, what are we gonna do? And
it's basic hydrology, right? It's like, so there's this freshwater pool underneath the state, and then it's literally surrounded by saltwater.
By a giant pool
of saltwater. So if you suck it out of the middle, and the hydraulic pressure in limestone, which is a fucking sponge, becomes less, then the salt water creeps its way in. I'm trying to convince you to get certified, but when you do that, one of the coolest things you can do is cenotes. And like when you go down to Mexico and you get something that's called a helocline. So you'll be diving in a cave and salt water's heavier. So there's some level of intrusion in those, but when you swim through it, you can literally see the salt water and the fresh water. Or if that's your drinking supply, you can't be giving people salt water to drink.
Well, and that like we were talking about, that's how the Middle East gets all their drinking water is all desal.
Yeah. Which we want to jump off
energy intensive.
Yeah. If you want to jump off the major underlying problem is water's too cheap. That's part of our problem.
Well, you could argue that back and forth though. You could argue that it's just a basic human right at the same time and that you shouldn't be paying for it.
I would agree. I'll tell you the same thing I told a guy that goes to my gym.
If the world was...
Yeah. If you want to... So where did you say there's a river over here? What's the name of the river that it comes off of? Yeah. So you can take a 5-gallon bucket down there all day long. Nobody's going to bust you. You can take it out, and then you can run it through a coffee filter. You can add a little chlorine into it. You can do all that, and it's free. Nobody's going to bust your chops about doing that at all. If you want to walk up to your faucet and turn it on and have it come out, and then to your point, you want to go to the bathroom and flush it and make it go away, that's super expensive. But it's not the water, it's the transmission that costs the money.
And I understand it costs money. I just think like why doesn't the government subsidize that, for example? Or why isn't it like law enforcement or the fire department? Why isn't, and I think we do in some ways, but it should just be a public good. And I wish the government prioritized it more. Some governments are spending a lot of money on water infrastructure right now, but
it's politically sensitive because it's out of sight, out of mind, because people don't understand how it works.
But now it's starting to actually not get swept under the rug because of the data center conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
water is like a top headline right now, and power, because of the data center conversation. Yeah. People are like, wait a minute, so how much water are these things consuming? And they're like, no, we're not consuming any. It's like, really? Because there's starting to be some pretty fishy stories, and it only takes one to poison the whole well.
Yeah.
And And not that I think a lot of it's not legitimate.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's total nonsense.
Political. Yeah.
But I think some of it is true. I do think there is a huge water consumption problem that has not been addressed at all. And I do think people should be concerned, not just about the data center thing, but water in general.
Well, in the Southwest, and here's just at a super high level, the desert's not designed to have, what are we up to? 7 million people in the whole thing? Like,
Yeah.
7 million people are not designed to live in the desert
And then
where
you've
we
got
consume
Vegas.
250 gallons a day.
And then you have LA.
Yeah.
Just as dry.
So think about that. That's the statistic. The average household uses 250 gallons a day. Right? Like, nobody wraps their head around that. Like, that is a lot of water. 250 gallons a day per household.
Yeah.
A lot of water.
It is. Yes. Yeah. And I'm not like it's a problem, but they are sprouting up faster than these cities can do something about it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I think they're trying to sneak in right now. And then the consequences are the consequences is what my read on it is. Let's just sneak right in.
There's some pretty simple stuff to do, though. The vast majority of it doesn't come from, and there's been a couple of places where people have tried to be really thoughtful about it. Like, most people don't know this, but Maricopa, right? You're familiar with Maricopa.
I worked down in Maricopa for Markham for a while.
Okay, right. Yeah. So they do dries and wets, and they do wets. So they have purple pipe in the main thoroughfare, right? Somebody was thinking hard. I'm trying to think. It was a Canadian company at the time that owned the water system down there. Global Water, I think is who it was at the time that was doing that. And they have big purple pipe in the streets because deciding that you're going to use reclaim to
tell people what purple pipe is.
So when you there's basic color codes associated with water wastewater construction. If the plastic that it's wrapped in or the color of the pipe itself or the detectable tape over the top is blue, that generally means it's potable water and you can drink it. If it's green, that means it's sewer, you're not supposed to drink it. And it's purple, it's reclaimed, which means it looks like potable, but it's not, right? Because it's the stuff that came off the end of the wastewater treatment plant and it's distinctly not potable, but it's not like you can open it. It doesn't look like sewage, it just looks like potable water because it's super close per the previous part of this conversation.
It has all the solids out of it
100%
without some of the final treatment. So like
I would say it's got all the treatment in it.
It's chlorinated and everything?
It's chlorinated, most places. Now, if you're going to put it back in the ground, you have to dechlorinate it right after you chlorinate it, or you have to run it through UV. UV is super expensive and a big energy user, but it zaps the bugs. Fish tank, UV sterilizer.
Which I don't believe in.
Not in a purely natural tank, but if you wanted like koi's or something and you wanted to, you just fucking zap the shit out of everything. But the point is, when they built Maricopa, they had enough forethought to say like, hey, we want to be able to take the water off the end of the wastewater treatment plant and just use and take that and shove it back out to irrigate the golf courses and to irrigate people's front lawns. So we talked about the things that come up to the house. So you're putting curb cuts in, and the dries and wet guys come in a neighborhood. They've got the deepest one is sewer. Then the one above that is water, and they would put in a purple pipe as well. So you had reclaim running to the house, and you had potable. Now
you can only do that though in a master plan community.
Yeah, 100%, and not just the master plan community, but the road that connects to the wastewater treatment plant where it comes, right?
Well, but Maricopa itself was
it was it was a blank slate for all practical purposes.
Yeah.
They're like, here's a blank slate where we can start over. You go into New York City and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna start running not in New York City, fucking any place, right? You'd have to rip everything up, and you and I both know that like. I think people think like, why do they hit the pipes when they?
Well, in New York, in Manhattan, we were 2 blocks away from Ground Zero. They were doing 450 feet of like 18-inch ductile iron water line, 4-year project. Yeah. 4 years.
Yeah.
Mostly the pipe is the easy bit. You've got to get all the shit out of the way, and you have to have, I think, 2 feet of clearance in all directions, which is crazy.
Yeah. I tell you what, one of the coolest technologies that exist is pipelining. Have you watched one of those things?
It's very cool. Yeah. But it's a tool. It doesn't work everywhere. But
it doesn't.
Phoenix, they've had some massive pipelining projects.
Yeah.
Like the huge transmission mains.
Yeah. 100%. And they've got ones where the technology is so good. The ones that use steam, or maybe is it steam, or they use laser to cure it or whatever.
The smaller stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff I saw was these were steel cans.
Oh, they're just shoving.
They collapse steel cans, and then they take them down a cart. Then they pop them open, weld them one way, weld them around, and then fill the in between with grout.
But the material that's left to exposure to the fluid is steel?
Yeah, it's a new steel line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That'll still corrode over time, though. One of
they put a coating on it.
Okay, they coat it.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be coated.
Well, one of the things, and it's not for because it doesn't bend very well, but if you take like the big trunk line, we were talking yesterday about how in Phoenix, where many of the communities in the East Valley just send their wastewater down to those dual pipelines that make their way to 91st Avenue. Well, that's concrete pipe, and it's T-lock. You familiar with what T-lock is? Uh-huh. Yeah, it's basically a plastic liner, but if it gets a little hole in it, then that little hole gets gas in it, sewer gas. So when you're in it's humid here today. If you go outside and there's condensation on the windows, that's water that is condensating. That's pure water. When sewage condensates, it turns into sulfuric acid, and that's what eats the concrete up. That's why you have things where like manholes cave in and stuff, because it gets on there, it condensates, and it just literally eats the Portland cement. So anyway, those big straight pipelines like that, the massive expense in replacing pipeline is getting all the shit out of the way, and you got to do traffic control. And what happens when you hit a utility, and you're going to hit them constantly.
And bypass.
If you can just bypass, like that's another thing that people can't wrap their head around. Most of the projects that we do, it's more expensive to get the equipment in a position to be able to do the work than the work.
And it takes more time. Yeah,
considerably more time, right? Because gravity doesn't turn off. There's no like, hey, tell everybody to quit drinking for 3.5 days while we do this thing, like, and tell gravity to stop. That's not a thing. So it's designed with some level of redundancy, but every 20 years or so, when it's just so beat up, you got to go in and sort of redo it. There's no way to do it other than pump it around the whole thing, and it is massively expensive.
So we can sit here all day and talk about this stuff and get into the weeds. I love wastewater, because this is where I started my career in pipe, and I have a soft spot for.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Water, storm, sewer.
But the big construction about that story that you told me about going outside your house, and there was a big, that was like a water line. It was a storm.
108 inch, big RCP.
Yeah, so that's where the light bulb came off.
C excavator. Yeah. But the point is, the moral of the story is, great opportunity.
100%.
It'll always be there.
Yep.
And we need more people.
We need more people, right? We need more people, and as all construction does. But I guess my pitch, if there's a pitch to this whole thing, is you can do data centers, and you can do houses, and you can do bridges, and you can do freeways, and we need all of that stuff. I would just tell you that all those things are predicated on the thing that we supply. The further you can work your way up in the food chain, the more necessary you are, right? And if we can get people back to that initial part of the conversation, which is I got up this morning, I used the bathroom, then I brushed my teeth, then I took a shower, then I did a cup of coffee, then I put on clean clothes. The first 5 things I did when I got out of bed, every single one of those things, and every single person that I encounter today will have that exact same thing. Then the necessity of it becomes obvious. And then the necessity leads to security. And I would also argue that if you're going to get into construction, and I'm biased, but I like self-performing, right? Like that's where you really learn. You're not just riding subs. You're not just riding critical path. Like you have to understand it. And I have yet to meet a water wastewater contractor that doesn't self-perform. Like you have to be able to control the hydraulic bearing structures. You can't give that to a flat work guy. It's so complicated that if you get into this business and you have somebody that is an experienced water wastewater superintendent or project manager, they're purple polka dotted unicorns, man. You just cannot get them. You're hunting purple polka dotted unicorns. If you're rare, then you're expensive.
Well, but that's the thing, is you choose a marketplace that's good and necessary. But then if you become valuable within a valuable marketplace, now you're cooking with peanut oil.
And if you really want to dial it in, right? Like if my kids came to me today and said, hey, Dad, I've decided I want to get into construction, what I would say is go become an industrial electrician in water wastewater. Like that is the slice of the slice of the slice of the slice. Industrial electricians in water wastewater are like, they're 3-legged polka dotted unicorns, right? And then we need them so bad. We're putting people through IECA. We're spending the money. If we've got somebody that's got an ounce of tenacity and is willing to put the time into it or pay for it, it's just it's a fantastic industry. So to whatever degree there's people out there listening that have a kid or they're considering themselves, I guess I don't 100% understand who all your audience is, but if this stumbles across somebody that's trying to decide, like, I think I want to get into construction, what should I consider at least doing more research on? Like, look into water, wastewater, and hell, call me, come by our office. We got a ton of stuff. And hell, you can just Google it. You can be anywhere and go water, wastewater in Nashville, water, wastewater, and whatever, and it'll tell you who the contractors are that do it. It's a fantastic industry, and I think more people should look at it for all the reasons that we've talked about for however long it's been now.
Right on. Well, I appreciate what you're doing. Thanks for coming out here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Cool.
That's a podcast.
All right, good deal. Easy peasy.
Sweet.